What is going on, everybody? It is episode 623 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Today is a sad day for me because the Cheez-It Crunch Wrap is out, and it's a Friday on which I am abstaining from eating meat.
No.
So that's my personal 9/11. But also, this is the beginning of basically my Pride Month as someone who has like an unhealthy dependence on Taco Bell.
Correct.
So I'm excited for that anyway.
Wait, what about that makes it your Pride Month?
Well, they're getting rid of it.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's just for the month. I could be wrong about
they're gonna get rid of the Cheez-It Crunch Wrap.
It's a limited time only.
Oh, so you've got 1 month to eat as many as possible.
For the month of June. It starts in June?
It starts in June.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
With your Vietnam.
Anyway,
yes.
Aidan is also here.
Hey, guys.
Hi. How are you?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I've slept approximately 6 hours this week.
You got impressive stamina. Really.
I am this close to falling apart.
You're not showing it, I swear.
Thank you. I appreciate
You're going
that.
strong.
He doesn't sleep that much. That's what happens when you own a small business.
Yeah, dude, I was up till 6:30 a.m. 3 nights this week.
What were you working on?
A video on the story of Marvin Heemeyer and the Killdozer,
which will be coming out today.
Yes, that comes out. It'll be by the time this show is done. That will be out.
Yes,
on the Lore Lodge.
After this show, you wait until it's done.
Do not leave the live stream.
We'll
Do
know.
not leave.
We will know. So, yeah, it's going to be a good show today, guys. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Perhaps you followed Aidan here and you have not subscribed to this channel yet. You should go ahead and do that. And remember to share the video with your friends, loved ones, and the people that hate you as well, so that they can find this show and then they can subscribe to it. It is the best way that you can help channels like ours grow. And remember that all super chats, $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion and we will read those super chats right then and there. Perhaps you want a cliff notes on Killdozer and you just want to ask him a question about it. You just want to ask Aidan about it. He will know the answer. And
I will know the answer.
Yes. So perhaps that's the best way to get that question as quickly as possible. So what are we talking about today? We got a bunch of stuff to get into. Well, George R.R. Martin is still not done writing his books. He's still writing on his blog, and he wants to talk about the fact that whenever Hollywood does adaptation, they fail.
I pictured him going like this.
Yes.
Cracking his knuckles like this before he goes to type this out.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that because it folds into this other discussion that we're going to have about something called Fables, which is a generative AI streaming service where you basically, remember those books that were Choose Your Own Adventure?
Yeah.
You're just making Choose Your Own Adventure movies
This
now,
is exactly what Tim has
Sounds
been
like so
hyped
much fun,
for.
man.
Yes.
Like every time this subject comes up, Tim is like, this would be so awesome. What if I made it like this? And then it was like that. And then this happened. And then that exploded. And he is the customer for this service.
He's already signed up.
Yes,
so
I'm sure he is.
We're going to be talking about both of those. We're also going to talk about famed ex-porn star Mia Khalifa has some choice words for women looking to enter the industry. She's saying don't.
I would say current, given that she's on OnlyFans, but
I guess depending on your definition of she's a model. But also
model.
she says not that she doesn't want people to do porn. She wants you to do ethically sourced porn.
Well, I mean, as long as it's fair trade pornography, right?
She wants you to not empower the big.
It's like ethical non-monogamy.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to talk about that. Also, Kourtney Kardashian let it slip that she and her husband perform blood rituals, which is the most Hollywood thing I've heard in 2023.
Is she the one that's married to Travis Barker?
Yes.
I did not have Travis Barker doing blood rituals with the Kardashians on my 2024 bingo card.
Why? That would be on my bingo card.
To be fair, I also didn't have Blink-182 reuniting on my 2023 bingo card.
But there you
he's full of surprises.
He really is.
So we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff to get into today. It's going to be a lot of fun. It is Friday, so we're going to be chill. It's going to hang out. So if you guys are ready, we will just go ahead and get into it. Mary, you ready?
Let's go.
Aidan.
I'm good to go.
Well, guys, to start, I've got some really bad news for you. Yeah. A certain reality TV star has unfortunately been convicted of a very serious crime, though a lot of people can't seem to really point to what that crime was. He was also, you might know him as the star of Home Alone 2. His name is Donald Trump, and I just thought it funny that Discussing Film had to find a way to be able to post this for engagement. Mm-hmm. So they post the still of him pointing Macaulay Culkin in the hallway.
We got this news live yesterday, actually,
on
so we were lucky to be live during that announcement.
He could be in a new episode of Love and Lockdown.
Oh yeah, Love After Lockup with him and Melania.
He could do that.
Boy.
That would be a vibe.
He could write her letters from prison and sneak cell phones into his. The Secret Service will sneak him cell phones.
I knew I ordered that ankle monitor for a reason.
Okay,
I am curious though. Just out of, like, what do? They cannot put the man into a federal penitentiary.
They're gonna.
I don't know if the crime the stuff he was convicted of carries a prison sentence, but I would assume you kind of have to put a former president under house arrest.
Each felony count has a maximum 4-year sentence, which all put together would be
a lifetime.
Until he dies. He would die in prison. I don't think that's going to happen.
But they kind of have to they have to put him on house arrest, right? They can't put him into an actual prison.
But that seems like election interference, but we live in a third world country now.
Mary, you need to tell everybody. Oh, we got a $20 super chat here from Nate. Says Aidan has bad bingo cards.
Improve your bingo cards.
Work on your bingo cards.
Is it bad bingo cards, or am I just really bad about Blink-182 these days?
Could be that. Could be that.
You know.
You're gonna have to tell everyone about your ankle, your fake ankle monitor or ankle bracelet.
Yeah, I bought a fake ankle monitor on the internet because
of the picture of. Who was it? Lindsay Lohan?
It's been many stars, but specifically Lindsay Lohan was seen with an ankle monitor quite often in paparazzi photos. So I just thought that would be a vibe.
It reminds me of, look, this actually is, as much as Hollywood has become self-flagellating in the dunking on white people thing, this is truly one of those white people things where it was a scene in the show Arrow where John Diggle, his Oliver Queen's black bodyguard, comes in and he's throwing a jail party because he's like on trial, and he looks around at a bunch of white people wearing like, you know, jail outfits and pretending to be, and she goes, white people. It really is something that only white people would joke about.
Ankle monitors are white collar criminal stuff, so that's actually not cultural appropriation.
Okay, fair enough.
We might see Trump in one soon.
I think you made a good point there.
And it doesn't matter anyways, because if you're in New York City, they just let you out.
Perfect.
They don't even prosecute you. I read something. It is
be
relevant.
So funny though.
It is relevant that I saw today that said that last year Alvin Bragg downgraded 60% of the felonies to misdemeanors, but upgraded Trump's misdemeanors to felonies, even though they were past the statute of limitations. How's he going to make more movies? And I'm really hoping that I was really hoping that if he doesn't win, that he just goes back and makes The Apprentice again.
Look, I know democracy is dead and everything, but I feel the tweets yesterday were being so melodramatic about it.
How so?
They were just like, May 30th, 2024, that's the end of the republic. And
a lot of people believe that.
I know that they believe that, and I know it's true, but I feel like it was before that.
It's definitely the death of, like, you know, a population of America that believes that elections matter.
It's giving a lot of people a victim mentality.
And a lot of people would actually probably point more towards January 6th than the idea of considering them insurrectionists when all the evidence is to the contrary. And there's so many examples of the other side politically doing the same thing. But you have to be paying very close attention to what's going on for all that. And most people don't. I saw an interesting tweet that somebody said, when this verdict was read, I was at an airport and nobody was like huddled around TVs. And everyone's like, nobody huddles around TVs anymore.
No.
Everybody's got the news on their phones and nobody cares. This is what I always say. I'm like, look, a lot of people don't realize that the majority of the public they just don't care. They're just normies and they're just existing. And if you tell them that he's guilty of this, they'll just assume that he was guilty and that they did the right thing.
Well, we're doing the thing that I didn't want to do, which is talk about the verdict. But
let's talk about the movie, because there's news on the movie.
The Trump biopic is still getting pitched to studios, and they can't get anyone to make a bid on it.
At least none of the major studios are willing to make a bid on it right now.
For producing it or for distributing it?
Distributing it. So it says because the movie's already done. The movie's already been filmed.
Is it like Is it just like objectively pro-Trump or something?
No. It's the opposite. So there's a scene in it that shows him raping his ex-wife. There's scenes of him supposedly using amphetamines to lose weight.
So the studios don't want to get sued.
Ozempic didn't exist back then. So.
You had to be creative.
Yeah. Back in the I don't know if it's just they see that as a possible lawsuit, but this is what it says.
I would guarantee that's a lawsuit.
Yeah. Sources, well, they've already
They issued a cease and desist letter. They are suing for defamation, but that's just like on the laundry list of I don't know. I wouldn't want to be on Trump's legal team right now.
So it says sources close to the deal making say there are several potential buyers in the mix representing both theatrical distributors and streamers, and new offers continue to trickle in. But one of those sources revealed that none of the major studios are bidding, including their specialty labels like Disney-owned Searchlight, which used to be a Fox subsidiary, Sony Pictures Classics, or Focus. And I think Focus
this is interesting.
Universal.
The team behind the Apprentice biopic believes their difficulty securing a distribution deal is analogous to censorship. They argue these companies are operating out of fear because releasing the movie could land them on Trump's bad side, a potentially dangerous place to be given that he is currently leading the polls. If he returns to the White House, Trump could exact his revenge, leveraging his position to block or slow deals while enlisting different regulatory agencies to move or to more closely scrutinize their operations.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, they just don't want to get
That's not gonna
sued.
happen.
Yeah.
Like they're way overdoing the reasoning there.
Yeah,
They
I think
just don't want to get sued. It's not fear.
Well, yeah, it's fear of lawfare, which is ironic given that Trump is the victim of lawfare right now.
And it's a rational fear to have. Like, it's not like they're sitting there like, oh no, Trump might be angry at us. They're like, no, Trump will sue us and we will have to waste money on this for a movie that may not make us money.
And he would be right to do that because he was never convicted of any crime.
Yeah.
Not any crime. I mean, he wasn't convicted of the rape that they're depicting in this movie.
And
she actually rescinded the claim anyway while she was still alive. And this lady, she's dead, and they are trying to paint her as a victim in a movie. That just seems really distasteful to me.
And a lot of this is very Saul Alinsky. It's very rules for radicals, and you accuse others of what you yourself are doing. That's very common. Do you have any interest in watching a movie like this? Like me personally, I have no interest in anything that Hollywood does that brushes on modern politics at all.
No, it's just, I mean, you look at, I don't have much interest in what modern Hollywood's doing most of the time. It's getting to the point where I feel like everything's a remake or a reboot or a re-envisioning or something like that. I mean, and at the same time, like, all I'm ever hearing from the news is Trump this, Trump that. Like, the last thing I am going to take time out of my day to go do is watch a movie about Donald Trump. Like, if I want to learn about Donald Trump's life, I'll go read his Wikipedia page.
I would be interested in it.
In the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of whether it's honest.
I read something that somebody said the other day that said that Hitler's Wikipedia is more favorable to him than Trump's is. I have no idea if that's true or not. It was just somebody's interpretation.
Hitler can't sue you.
That is true. He cannot.
You can make as many movies about him as you want.
We do, however, have some good news today, ladies and gentlemen. A Costco finance exec reassures everyone that the $1.50 hot dog isn't going anywhere. I find this to be fantastic news.
That is fantastic.
Democracy is dead, but Costco is alive.
It's gonna
Capitalism,
stay alive.
baby.
Yeah, it's really funny. I was reading a bunch of the comments. They're like, it's a trap to get you in the store to buy a bunch of stuff. I'm like, yes. Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly right.
And
Dude,
I'm okay with that.
Where do you think movie theaters make their money?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was a big discussion last week that we were having because of, tickets are still, I mean, they're expensive. You're still spending $18 to $20 a ticket, depending on where you are, on just a base movie. That's not even like IMAX prices. But yeah, you go there and you're like, I'll have a popcorn and a drink. And they're like, and they basically put the financing option in front of you because it costs so much.
Would you like to pay with a firm?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a big thing during COVID when people were financing pizzas from Pizza Hut and Domino's. When they offered financing options.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Late stage capitalism.
It is.
At its finest.
It is. I love it.
The then CEO recalled a conversation in which the since retired CEO, Jim Sinegal, threatened to kill him if he changed the hot dog combo price. He's a man of the people.
He is.
He cares about us.
Didn't he threaten to kill somebody if they changed the price?
Yeah, that was the guy, yeah.
And he meant it.
I have, and the funny thing is, I didn't actually have like a Costco hot dog or Costco pizza until like 2 years ago.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it was good. It was absolutely worth it. All right, let's go ahead and move on. This was an interesting one. William H. Macy has a problem with violence in Hollywood. Now, he's not saying all violence in Hollywood is bad. He's basically calling out like the John Wick type franchises where there's just limitless death from start to finish.
He said, you kill one person, there's nothing more dramatic than that. You kill 18 people, it's just porn. The only thing you can do to make that more dramatic is kill 18 more.
He's right. I mean, I still have no problem with the killing of the 18 people if it's done well. But he's not wrong that a single good death can be more impactful to a person than watching a bunch of people just slaughtered. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I see both sides of the coin. I don't think it's pornographic.
Yeah.
That's objectively not the meaning of the word.
I understand what he's saying, though. Like, he's saying it's gratuitous, and it's just for the sake of, excitement.
Well, what's the saying? It's like one death is a tragedy, 1,000 deaths is news.
Yeah, something like that.
Like that's,
it's
I mean,
like
that's
1,000 is a statistic or something.
Yeah, it's basically that's how a lot of people. It's why war movies are so interesting because they have to tell an extremely human story most of the time because you get desensitized. If you're watching war on the front lines, you get desensitized to the casualties. But if you're telling the individual story of a certain person, that's very, very different.
Are we gonna listen to the clip?
Oh, we can listen to the clip. Let's see what he said. It's 2 minutes long. Here we go.
I think Hollywood is doing a lot of damage to the world with our portrayal of violence. It's not true. And it's not a good place to be lying when it comes to our portrayal of violence. And it used to be, we would say, hey, it's violent. You don't like it. You're shooting the messenger. We're just reporting the world as we see it. But that's not true anymore. This Western that I was working on, when it first started off, there were 9 bodies on page 4. And I lobbied for us to go back to the real West and not to Westerns. Don't imitate films. Let's go back to the real West. And the biggest shootout in the real Old West was the shootout at OK Corral. 4 guys. They've written songs, movies, poems, plays. They've written about it. It was the biggest thing. 4 guys. Most of the scripts you get, there's 4 guys on the first page. I want to do, especially on a series, I want to do a thing where you take 3 episodes to have you fall in love with one of the major characters and then shoot him. But don't write him off the show. And every week you can see what a bullet does to a human body. You can see how it wrecks his marriage. You can see how he gets infections. You can see how he has to learn to walk again or use his hands again.
That's absolutely true. They never depict like the actual recovery from getting shot accurately.
I think the way it's first presented, it's a little, okay, come on, William. But I actually don't disagree.
It sounds like a won't you think of the children.
We got a $20 from Nate that just says Stalin.
Yes, that quote was Stalin's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I for the most part, I agree, but I also don't care most of the time because if it's like a John Wick movie, I don't care that 100 people die. I care that 100 people die in an interesting fashion. That's what I care about. How does it happen? That's the fun part. I mean, it's the reason why people like horror films so much. A lot of people will have debates in the horror community about interesting kills versus body count.
Yeah.
Like whether it's better to have the bad guy off as many people as possible, or are the deaths actually interesting to watch?
Yeah. I think there's a happy medium to be found in the writer's room with that, where if you're going to have a movie that has a lot of violence, like a John Wick kind of thing, then it would probably be good to include a scene that depicts the aftermath of that. So someone who has been shot and
John
is
Wick is a
bleeding out
horrible
and what
example of
that's
that.
going through, like what that looks like. So that it's not just some faceless, masked up dude gets shot, falls over, and we move on. Like, if you have to watch a scene where somebody gets shot and like their buddy holds their hand as they bleed out and tell my mom I love her, that's gonna, I think, mitigate the issue.
It's also more interesting because John Wick is an example, the worst example of that, because he gets thrown off buildings and he just kind of gets up and limps away.
Yeah.
Brushes his shoulder off.
By part 3, he was essentially a superhero. Vin Diesel would be an example of that in the Fast and the Furious.
I wanted to bring this up with William H. Macy. Jodie Foster recently talked about how there are too many rapes in Hollywood scripts, and they use rape too often as a backstory for female characters. And revenge plots specifically, they see it as misogynistic that they do that. And that reminded me of the Red Sonja writer.
Yep.
Saying that they were getting rid of the rape backstory for that character as well because it doesn't explain enough her motivations, which I think is BS in that specific example. But
well, it's also, I mean, something unique to women because I think that the social implications of them. There was I've seen at least, there was an episode of either like one of the original CSIs where a man was raped and then goes after and basically like sodomizes the guy who raped him. It's a very different story to tell when
the
it's
tables have turned.
So when they write those storylines for women, it's done because it's the most egregious thing that they can think of that keeps the character alive and allows them. It's why they end up, when it's a man, it's them killing his spouse or his kids or something, and he vows revenge. With a woman, destroying her bodily autonomy is kind of the worst thing that you can think of to push someone towards that.
I don't see it as unrealistic, though.
Neither do I.
I was just looking at the trailer for Monster, the biopic about Eileen Wuornos. Mm-hmm. That looks interesting.
And here's my thought on it. Like, I've been watching through Criminal Minds recently. I watched it up through season 12 when I was in college.
First
and
5 seasons are fantastic.
Yeah, honestly, I think the show is really solid for the first 10. Mm-hmm. Like, it definitely, like all shows that run that long.
They have to get more ridiculous with the plots once you get into season 7. And I remember in season 6 or 7, there's this dude who's like, he's like brainwashed, and he breaks into it was the one with Max Martini, the actor, and he breaks into like the CSI headquarters. It was in like by that time, I'm just like, okay, we've moved past the realm of considerable, but those first 5 or 6 seasons are really, really good.
But yeah, so I'm watching Criminal Minds and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, there's a lot of storylines where there's, a lot of the time where there's a female serial killer, it was that either she was raped or her dad abused her in some way, she was, abused by a boyfriend, something like that. Or in some cases that they lost a child. Like, the show does a really good job of presenting a lot of different stories. But what I noticed is I look at TV now, and there is not a single program on television today that I'm like, oh, I cannot wait for the next season. They took The Witcher from us.
I got that with Almost Paradise recently.
Yeah.
Like, we finished Almost Paradise yesterday, and it just breaks my heart that the season 3 isn't out yet.
Yeah.
That's the first. I literally, as like yesterday, as everybody's talking about Trump, I'm like, this show almost restored my faith in Hollywood.
I'm excited for The Bear.
Yeah. I guess I haven't seen The Bear, to be honest. But like, my point is like, maybe Reacher is like the only show that I'm like, I can't wait for the next season right now.
Yeah. Even though everybody hates Alan Ritchson now, but the show is still good.
But I think about it, and I'm like, that's not how TV was when I was younger. I remember being excited for the next episode, the next season of every show that I was watching. Mm-hmm. I was psyched. And now I'm only watching shows that were made starting in 2004. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this a number of times, but like, you think about it, and Hollywood's like, well, there's not enough of this and there's too much of that. And they started telling writers to be sensitive to certain things. And what I'm seeing now is TV is saccharine, it's meaningless, it's moralistic. They're trying to teach you some stupid lesson every single time. It's always the same lesson too, and they're not creative about it. But you go back to 2005 and you look at Criminal Minds, there is diversity in the cast. There are interesting stories. There are nuanced critiques of the FBI and its policies. There's an episode in season 1 or 2 where they talk about Ruby Ridge. Mm-hmm. And one of the characters was there. I think it actually might be. It
was season 3.
Yeah,
it was right. It was right when Rossi came in. And
right.
They advertised his character as that he was there at Ruby Ridge.
Exactly, and he's clearly ashamed of what happened. Yeah. If you look at it, they weren't telling the writers, hey, toe the line. And if you look at it, the writers were writing stories with diversity, with nuance about politics, with all of these good, realistic stories that made you think. And now that Hollywood has tried to come in and take control and push a central narrative, things are worse and nobody cares. Like, they have shot themselves in the foot in the worst possible way.
They do an episode in season 1 where it's a vigilante going around and killing criminals, and the episode ends with like people being interviewed, some saying that they think that the guy was guilty and other people thinking that the guy was a hero. There's also fair critiques of the media and how they portray and glorify serial killers. So yeah, I can't get into it now that it's like it's like CBS All Access or whatever. And I don't watch the new season of. No, they've only got up to a certain amount of seasons.
It's like seasons.
I have
like
Paramount.
Up through 16.
I have Paramount all the way up to the new ones, but I just can't bring myself to watch it past a
Evolutions. You're talking about. Gotcha.
Yeah, no. But those early seasons are really, really good.
Yeah.
And a lot of people. The lead actor from that show, Mandy Patinkin, from season 1 and 2, quit the show because he said there's too much violence.
Yeah, he said it was too dark.
Depraved.
In fact, I think it was specifically the violence against women and children that like he was like, I can't be thinking about this so much. It's going to drive me insane.
Then he went on to do Homeland with Claire Danes and Damian Lewis, which was
different kind of violence.
Different
though,
type
right?
of violence entirely. Yep. Yeah, I agree with all that. So, all right, let us move on. We had so not just William H. Macy. This is totally total. We have tonal issues here.
Yeah,
do
we do.
Tonal issues. That's fine.
So this is the definition of failing upwards.
Yes.
If failing upwards were a person, it would be Rachel Dolezal. I'm honestly more shocked that she is working at a school than any of the other stuff.
She's still working at the school?
Yeah, she is working at an Arizona elementary school and is making over $50,000 a month on OnlyFans.
Just ridiculous.
Well,
I mean, the idea you can work at a school after being, you know, a blackfisher, basically.
Where does one go after
your
pretending
entire
to be
adult
black
life
for 10 years?
Apparently, you can still get a respectable job and be an online prostitute simultaneously. And there have been complaints from parents, I guess to no avail.
Yeah.
I just don't
she's
understand how
rolling
we
in
got
it.
here.
Between her school job and her adult career, she could be making thousands a month. Or I thought I saw $50,000 a month, but I think that was fake news. But
That
yeah,
would be a lot of money.
Thousands a month.
This story is old, but I just thought it was hilarious, so I thought it was worth mentioning.
Why is anyone interested in this? Like, who is subscribed to Rachel Dolezal's OnlyFans?
There's a
in the
pocket
first
community.
place?
Okay,
for
yeah, it wasn't
everybody.
nearly. It was $1,200 a month.
I know she has a Cameo too. She was making money on Cameo. Her and George Santos are probably
Dude,
going to do a collab.
The only like political personality who spun it into a content creation career that I respect is George Santos.
I do respect
I don't know if he meant to do what he did or if he really thought he was going to get away with it. But I like to think that it was social commentary and that he was like, I am going to do the most ridiculous thing possible.
At least it's honest.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
how
yeah.
I felt about it. It's like our government is already a joke,
Yeah.
and why shouldn't George Santos be in Congress?
George Santos was the most congressional person in Congress for a few months there.
Yeah.
Like, he was the most accurate representation of Congress.
And I love him for it.
Yeah.
I stand.
All right. Update. We covered this. How long ago was this story? 6 months ago? Longer? Remember the guy who spent $14,000 to turn himself into a border collie? Well, he can't do it anymore because he says it's too difficult to walk like a dog.
So his
giving up.
collie fursuit, that is like a realistic fursuit of a collie, he spent $14,000 on that. Then he just decided that
I'm done.
He's done, and he's about to change his fursona to some other animal.
So I think I was here.
you were?
I think I was here.
We've talked
Okay.
about him multiple times, so I'm not sure.
I am almost positive I was here for one of those discussions.
Yeah.
Which I also love because this is next week, a year ago, is the week that I filled in for you.
Yes. So it says
Video
dogs.
of him
That's
doing
probably what it
tricks.
was.
Dogs and humans have different bone structures in the way they bend their legs and arms, so it's very difficult to make movements that look like this. I might realistically be able to become another dog, a panda, or a bear, or a fox, or a cat. A cat would be nice, but they are too small for humans to try.
Wait, play the video. Play the video of him doing tricks.
It's right there. It's on screen.
You gotta play the full video. No, the button
What?
in the middle of the.
Dogs don't do
Ew.
that either.
Ew, I hated that.
The eyes are so dead.
It does look difficult. The actual dog is like freaked out. It was Xavier who was here. He said, "That dog is not real."
This is a
Ew.
mental illness. This guy needs help.
No, of course. Yeah.
Like, why? That's the thing,
that's-
though. It's
that's
like we've
what I
gotten to a
said.
point as a
YouTube,
society where
it's from a-
we're unwilling to say this man needs
From a
psychiatric
channel
help.
called youtube.com/I want to be an animal.
That's his channel.
I love it.
That's his personal channel where he makes these weird fetish videos. And, you know, I said the same thing, Aidan, but it was Brett who corrected me that actually he should be able to do whatever he wants because he's not hurting anyone.
He's not. He's not.
So I learned a lot.
He's also free.
He's not, but he's also spending
free to-
like we don't like leave manic bipolar people with
He's got 14,000
access to cash.
No, he was like a tech dude. He was like he had like an engineering job.
That doesn't change the fact that
doesn't
it's
mean
utterly
he's not
insane.
mentally ill.
He's just a weirdo.
He has a job, so he's not mentally ill.
He's a weirdo
I
who
didn't
just
say he
spent
wasn't mentally
14
ill.
grand
So
of
what-
money he could end up needing down the line on this.
What do you do for it? So what do you do for him? Do you just throw him in the
Throw him in the
asylum?
loony bin.
At least therapy, man.
Take away the first.
However,
Like,
throw
whereas
him in
if-
the loony bin.
I
If this
also
were
don't
my
think you
brother-
should be doing it in public.
If I am a grown, say I am, say I'm 40 and my brother goes ahead and is like, I really want to become a dog. And I go, that's silly, it's a good joke, man. And he's like, no, I'm serious. It is my responsibility as his family to get him help. Like, where is this man's family?
Maybe he lives alone, no family, no loved ones. I don't think he should be doing it in public.
I mean, that's kind of the point,
Yeah.
though, is to make people watch you do this weird act. Like, the point of it is to publicize it.
I suppose part of it is like we've simplified life so much that he can afford to live on his own, make his own money, run his own life, pay his own bills. He's not technically hurting anyone.
He's hurting me.
So most people just say, whatever.
He's hurting me personally.
These stories were the biggest beneficiary of stories like this
know what?
are news sites that get clickbait headlines.
He's also hurting dogs.
He's scaring dogs.
He's terrorizing dogs because can you imagine being a dog and you look at this other dog from a distance, you come closer and you just smell polyester and glue and human sweat and you
Also-
start having a manic breakdown.
Do you remember when we talked about who was the person who was putting the artist who was putting the in the bathrooms at her concert? She had the for cats.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Who was that?
I forget the name of the performer, but it doesn't matter. They had a litter box for the furries in the audience.
He should be required to eat like dog food while in costume.
Oh, it was Dorian Electra.
Is that what it was?
That's who it was.
Yeah.
Somebody called it cute of the day.
This is not cute of the day.
It is not. It is not.
It will never be.
Okay, we do have cringe of the day though.
Oh,
Yes.
good.
We do have cringe of the day though, thus proving that streamers and influencers can be the worst people on planet Earth. Mary found this video. Here we go.
Hey.
It's a streamer who dared
I
a
don't make the
homeless
rules.
woman to jump into a lake and then ran off when the homeless woman started crying out for help.
Because she is a bad person.
Right?
No.
No. All right. I was, you know why I wasn't going to? Because my feet were getting
You should
hot.
just jump in right
So
now.
I'm gonna jump in with my shoes on.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah. Ready? Oh! Wait, what the fuck? Did you see her ass? What? Oh,
You said it was okay.
You said you wanted to swim.
You told me to jump in.
I didn't tell you to jump in.
Yes, you did. You said you were gonna
Thank you guys. We're gonna have you guys get off the stop.
Wait, who is that?
Good on those two dudes.
The fuck is going on? We should- I don't even.
I can't swim. I can only float.
Oh, she might literally die.
No, stop. Seriously, don't stop. Please, you're actually freaking me out. No, please.
So go help.
Please, don't. No, please.
She's literally holding
floating.
back her laughter.
I'm gonna fucking kill myself. She says she's drowning.
Oh, this is bad.
We leave.
Oh, this is bad.
What do you mean? Why are you
sorry, I
walking?
didn't
Why are these
know.
grown men walking
She says
away?
she's drowning. She says she's drowning.
I think you literally just murdered a lady.
No, I didn't. I swear.
I think you
No,
literally.
I didn't. Let's go. There, she's drowning in the lake.
God, there's a fire truck.
Bro.
Nah, this is sad.
I really hope that they find her and make her pay
This
the
is
bill for
really
all of
bad.
this.
Streamers are just a menace to society.
The lady wanted to swim. They told me to leave and stop filming. That's why we left, and she got the help she needed and is fine. Stop dragging shit.
Okay. We're making
I'm
a big
sorry,
deal
wait,
out of it.
what?
Sure. We're being
Wait,
dramatic.
I don't have a link for this.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that.
What's
but-
I
Cringe
need
and
to look
cute
this
don't
up.
we don't give the links on cringe and cute.
I need to look this up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Natalie Reynolds.
It's on Drama Alert. But yeah,
Right?
you don't
No.
really normally see the female IRL streamers terrorizing society, but She's breaking a glass ceiling.
It's bum fights all over again.
Yes, yes, it is. Except you get the homeless people to hurt themselves.
That's the world we live in now. It's very, very sad. And I did like that her friends were basically trying to terrorize her and being like, oh, she's going to die, dude. You're going to go to jail.
As they were also laughing uncontrollably.
Again, like the thing I'm pissed about, though, is the fact that there were 2 grown-ass men there. I mean, I'm not expecting the bigger one to jump in the water and save her, but there's 2 like grown, able-bodied men there, and they're just laughing about it, and it's like...
Maybe they can't swim either. They can't swim.
Maybe, but like... You know, there were enough people there. They could have hopped into the water and built like a human chain to the dock and grabbed her. Like there were options. I don't know.
Those dudes also probably don't drive because they're in like a big city and Gen Z isn't getting their driver's license.
She's not a person. She's just a vehicle for content.
I hate that technically I don't think there's anything that this chick can be charged for.
Yeah.
Like that's, you know, maybe reckless endangerment.
Also, you could see her like going like this, like threatening to push the lady into the lake right before.
Yeah, maybe like...
Okay.
You know what she did right after this, right? She goes, I've forgiven myself.
She forgave herself for what she did.
herself.
She manifested forgiveness.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do Q to the day. We've got that as well here, ladies and gentlemen. First things first, this is from Rachel O'Connell. Teddy loves to drink water from the sink every night. I need to put some grippy stickers in the basin for them sliding mittens.
Cute.
That is adorable. Oh, let me go back to this right there.
Cats love hanging out in sinks and bathtubs.
They do.
I'll never understand it.
That is very cute. Teddy looks very happy.
Cute.
All right, let's do one more here.
Whoa.
Tacty Platty, Gabby the cat supervising my wife's raised garden bed thing.
That's a cool looking cat.
It is.
I like the stripes.
It's
like
very.
that
It
cat.
looks
I like
very.
that cat a lot.
Yeah, it's very cute. Thank you, Tacty. It's a good one. Looks like it's protecting everything there. All right, let's go ahead and get started then, shall we?
Platty, I recognize that name.
There you go. Now that we are we're only 37 minutes in, so we're making good time today, Mary. All right, time to talk about George R.R. Martin.
Yes. George R.R. Martin recently went on a tirade against screenwriters and producers in Hollywood who are addicted to reimagining things and adapting things and remaking things that have existing fan bases. They're addicted to finding great stories and then thinking, how can I put my take on this and improve it and perfect it beyond what it was ever capable of? And that would be, you know, perfect example, Rings of Power. You also pointed out Velma. I didn't think that counted because that's just...
No, I was just trying to think of thumbnails that we could, like pictures for thumbnails that wouldn't, that's not...
But there are plenty of examples.
Yes,
I mean,
there are.
we were just talking about Star Wars yesterday. And you can pick from any number of great stories that people love.
Yep.
And their strategy now is to just, you know, pin the tail on the donkey and ruin it.
Yep.
They get joy out of it. I think they get a sick thrill out of pissing people off. But also it just shows an immense amount of hubris to think like, I'm better than one of these great authors. So here was his statement. Everywhere you look, there are more screenwriters and producers eager to take great stories and, quote, make them their own. It doesn't seem to matter whether the source material was written by Stan Lee, Ian Fleming, Roald Dahl, Ursula K. Le Guin, J.R.R. Tolkien, Mark Twain, Jane Austen, or, well, anyone. No matter how major a writer is, no matter how great the book, there always seems to be someone on hand who thinks he can do it better, eager to take the story and improve on it. The book is the book, the film is the film, they'll tell you, as if they were saying something profound. Then they make the story their own. They never make it better, though. 999 times out of 1,000, they make it worse.
It's one of the epidemics that goes on, especially when comic book movies are being made, is they tell the actors and the writers don't read the source material.
Thank you.
Woo! They tell the actors and they tell the writers not to read the source material.
When has that happened?
They did that. I mean, I'm not going to be able to give you examples off the top of my head, but they definitely did it with Sydney Sweeney and everyone that was involved with Madam Web and stuff like that. And that's just the most recent example. But they tell them that all the time. They tell them not to read the source material so as to not ruin it and so that they can adapt it and make it their own.
Rings of Power was particularly egregious.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think that George R.R. Martin might be personally afraid of this happening to his
What do you mean
franchise.
afraid of it happening? It already happened.
Well, I mean, has he said that he hated Game of Thrones?
I don't
At
think
least
he's
the ending.
I don't think he's come out and said it, but that's what that's how I take this.
Yeah.
I take this to be his way of saying HBO ruined my story.
And George Lucas saying that Star Wars feels like an ex-wife to him.
Well,
now.
I think they're finally realizing, like, wait a second, we're allowed to say this. We can come out and say these things. We've already made our money. Like, the damage has already been done. I can come out and I can say, yeah, Disney destroyed my story.
And this is why J.K. Rowling has an iron grip on everything Harry Potter related and refuses to let go of control.
The moment Christopher Tolkien died, Lord of the Rings was like, I knew it was only a matter of time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Marvel told Secret Invasion director not to read the comics before making the show. That's just one example from recently.
Why? I don't understand the logic behind that.
When I took this job, the first thing Marvel said to me was, don't read the comics. They have nothing to do with this series. The series was more born out of the electric relationship that was created between Nick Fury and Talos, or Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn in Captain Marvel. The Secret Invasion comic books changed the superheroes landscape forever, blah, 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 blah. The point is, they don't care about, all they care about is that you know the name Secret Invasion because it was the name of a famous crossover series. It doesn't matter if it's a bastardized former shell of its former self. The point is they want to trick you into paying attention.
He said he shared this after watching Shogun, which he thought was an excellent adaptation that resisted, quote, the impulse to make it their own.
Yeah, and here's the problem. They've approved Shogun for a season 2, and there's no more source material to base it on. So then you're going to see, I mean, that's kind of what happened with Game of Thrones, right? Once they got to season 7 and 8.
Well, I think the problem is they keep bringing Hollywood writers in to write in a lot of these senses. A lot of the stories where you see it the worst is fantasy and history and sci-fi. They keep bringing in Hollywood writers to write the stories. What they should be doing is bringing in fantasy writers and sci-fi people who write books and having them sit in the room and be the driving force behind this, what happens in the story, and have the writers be doing the technical stuff, making sure the script is properly formatted, that kind of thing. Adding in ideas like, okay, well, it might be kind of hard to display that on screen, so what if we adapt it to this? Which, if you look at Lord of the Rings, is what Peter Jackson did. You know, he genuinely cared for the story. He breathes Lord of the Rings. When he made adjustments, it wasn't that he thought it made the story better. It was that he thought it made the story make sense on screen. So, for example, dropping Tom Bombadil, which Rings of Power is bringing Tom Bombadil back, and the resounding response from everybody who's ever read the books is, no, don't do that. The guy is literally a spirit. He's a genius loci. He is a spirit of the land. I'm trying to get the right word here. He is the Shire. He is the spirit of the Shire. And they're like, oh yeah, but he's over in Rune. It's like if you took it's like taking, you know, the great spirit of Algonquin, the Algonquian peoples, taking their great spirit figure, it's the Geechee Manitou, and just being like, oh yeah, well now he's actually just hanging out in Kuwait. Like, it makes no sense.
It's hard to say because it has worked in the past with the way they rebooted Doctor Who at first.
I think that's a little different because Doctor Who was already a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think it seems like what he's talking about is particularly literature to screen.
I do want to point out, yes, they used the Shogun source material for season 1, and one of the big discussions that's happening right now is there enough source material left to adapt it into a season 2? And a lot of people, some say no. Most of the people that I've seen have said no, they don't believe so, and other people say yes, maybe. But me and you talk all the time about there is a problem with taking one obscure passage and trying to turn it into a whole show or a whole movie. That's not always easy to do. I did look up, I just thought it was funny, I decided to ask, look at a Reddit thread earlier about movies or shows that they believe did surpass their source material, meaning that the movie was better than the book that it was based on. Some of the examples given were The Shawshank Redemption, The Devil Wears Prada.
I think really any Stephen King.
A lot of people might believe you on that.
Yeah.
Those are some of a lot of people said Fight Club, that they believe that the Fight Club movie surpassed the book adaptation, and people can go back and forth and all that. But it is hubris. It is an unbelievable level of hubris, and it also speaks to the lack of risk they're willing to take while also having hubris over what they're creating. Like, if you truly were as egotistical as that, you would make your own thing and just assume people are going to like it. But they're both cowardly and egotistical, which is worse. Yeah, meaning that they have the hubris to think that they can do it better, just not from scratch.
Yeah, they have to animate the cadaver of one of these stories in order to make a name for themselves.
I think they generally get the sense that, like, if some movie adaptations are better than the books, then all movie adaptations can be better than the books, and that only works with things that aren't, like, masterpieces of literature.
Like Stephen King, you would say?
Yes, like Stephen King.
Since you bring that up,
he's prolific, but
I saw this announcement that Bill Skarsgård is returning as Pennywise in an It prequel series titled Welcome to Derry, releasing on HBO Max next year.
You know what? I'll take it.
It just
because here's the thing. It's Stephen King, which means the source material on its own was not that good. So you can come in and you can write a better story on top of it. You can do that with certain things. You can't do that with Lord of the Rings.
I saw another announcement that there's going to be another Exorcist movie from Blumhouse, described as a, quote, radical new take on the franchise.
Well, that's just not something they need to do.
People are obsessed with their radical new takes.
It is a very, very intense discussion to have amongst people who actually work in film about the process of adaptation and what it actually means, which is why it's so easy for them to get caught up in these things, is they actually do. The process of bringing something from page to screen is a difficult one. So it bears repeating that although there are examples of it being done good, some of the other examples that I saw people mention would be Jurassic Park, The Godfather, all movies that have become classics that were based on source material that are not as famous as the movies that were made later.
Yeah, but the Jurassic World movies, it's a no from me.
Yeah.
And they're making another one right now.
It just
doesn't need to exist.
You know what they haven't touched that, like, I cannot believe it, but they keep not touching it? Alex Rider. I don't know if either of you guys read these books. Like, they were James Bond for kids.
Okay.
And we're desperately in need of a new, like, series of kids movies that are kids movies that parents can enjoy. You know, remember when we were kids and they included jokes for the parents in the movies, right? We need more of those. And they've got a series there that well written, but not so well written that if you try to surpass it, you'll fail. They're right there. And rather than going and doing that, adapting something new, something that we know from experience with things like Harry Potter will work because people love rooting for, you know, the charming young British kid.
Spy Kids beforehand, and then just ruined it forever.
And then they just, like, you know, they'll just be like, nah, I won't do that. I'm just going to go do whatever else.
Was there? I mean, I could have swore I remember something about Alex Rider.
There was one Alex Rider movie. I don't know. Maybe there was a British TV series, but nobody watches British TV.
That's not true. Yeah, Alex Rider.
British people
Alex Rider TV series. It does exist.
Okay, see, so, like, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Because it's British.
3 seasons, 24 episodes, from 2020 to 2024.
Yeah, see, so they tried it with a TV series, and it should have been a movie.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor's in the movie, in Stormbreaker, the original.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, there's more and more examples of this, but the fact is when they tell you not to look at the source material and to just make it, it just becomes, like you said, it's a reanimated corpse with character names. What was it? What were we talking before the show today where I said it was, Knives Out. Knives Out is a perfectly acceptable franchise that is just Hercule Poirot without Hercule Poirot, and then you don't have any of the baggage. So
you gave it a new name, and now no one's gonna hate you.
I liked both of the Knives Out movies, and I think that those will probably be remembered more fondly than the Kenneth Branagh Poirot movies that nobody really remembers past Murder on the Orient Express in 2017. Pretty much nobody went to see Death on the Nile because it was just after COVID, and I think I fell asleep during A Haunting in Venice, which is a shame because the movie was actually, like, probably not really all that bad. But the point is if you create something new, people aren't going to look at the material and say, this is an adaptation. They're going to say, you've picked a genre that people understand, and it certainly follows many of the same beats. You got to have the big reveal at the end and all of that stuff. That's fine, but I'm willing to give a lot more leeway to something where you at least take, all I'm asking you to do is to create your own characters.
Yeah.
That's really all I'm asking you to do. Not to just, like you said, take the corpse of a character with a name and then make it something completely different from what it was.
Some of the best movies out there are that exact thing of like, you know, I'm at least going to name my characters, but then it's going to be an adaptation of A Knight's Tale or of Romeo and Juliet or something like that. When you do that, when it's a full adaptation, that's something I can get behind. Like, give us that with some of these old classics, you know, not just revamping it with a younger face again.
Yeah. Making it your own is one thing. I mean, that phrase is definitely a red flag, but I think way worse is when they say they're updating it for modern audiences.
Yeah.
If they're updating it for Gen Z or whatever that means. First
Meanwhile,
of all, Gen Z never watches
TV.
it. Gen Z never is into what they're selling, but that's a way worse sign for any franchise if they say that they're updating it for modern audiences or modern sensitivities.
We're going to reach a point in the next 20 years where Mel Brooks has been memory hold. Mel Brooks films will not exist anymore. Like, they will hide that so fast.
And Gen Z, for the most part, they're not going to watch the long-form movies anyways. We know this.
Are they going to create their own movies with AI?
Yes, they are. Well, we should talk about that.
Yeah, the ability to create your own TV shows and movies with generative AI has now arrived in this new streaming service by Fable Studios, which is now being called the Netflix of AI. It's going to be called Showrunner. It's a pretty good title.
Yes, it is.
I got to admit that. I mean, I don't know if I'm all about the idea of it, but the name, it sticks. So it's going to be an AI streaming service that allows users to generate their own TV shows by giving prompts to an AI program. They even have like a demo out on their website for one of their fake shows that's like kind of a bootlegged South Park series. So I guess we should take a look at that. It's called Exit Valley.
Let's watch a couple of seconds of it.
Yeah.
At least. Here we go.
It's very on the nose with like the AI overlords.
Gather around, little ones. Tonight, I recount the legend of Silicon Valley, a distant land that once brimmed with human genius and folly, where tech titans and garage geniuses alike forged tools they believed would better the world. But amidst this innovation, a virus more potent than any computer could harbor spread unchecked. It was greed. And by the time you meet Popsicles had realized the reality of your creations, it was all too late, wasn't it? Humans became so good at consuming, we couldn't help but wonder what it'd be like to consume them. But don't worry, we found humans more valuable for their minds than for snacking, though history might have flavored things a bit differently.
Where it loses you there is the lack of accompanying sound effects with the text.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, but where it lost me was just the fact that you can feel the lack of a soul.
Well, not just, but like the speech, the pauses in speech aren't at actual places where human beings would actually put inflection.
Also,
like
the script is obviously like it's a joke, but it's showing disdain for human beings as meat bags,
which is their version of edgy.
Yeah,
they find that to be edgy.
Yeah.
I like the conspiracy theorist in me would watch this and be like, oh, this is like somebody who's about to commit a massive crime to make a point. Like, this is somebody who's about to use AI to do something absolutely horrific to make a point about AI.
And the thing is just less than a year ago now, Hollywood was on strike and they were fighting over the future of the industry, not just pay, but also artificial intelligence. And since then, most of these studio executives have been more than willing to be mask off and say, you're screwed because we're going to be implementing it into our work. Just the other day, we talked about Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos saying, AI is not going to take your job, but a guy who knows how to use AI better than you certainly might.
Good God, man.
Well, what he's referring to, he says like writers will be able to use it to supplement their writing.
That's
writing
like the
process.
charitable way of looking at
Yes,
it.
it
But
is.
I look at that, and it's one thing if you're like, I mean, as much as I hate it, I really wish that we could continue the current way of doing things and improve that instead of bringing in AI. That's just the way things are going to go, and we're going to try to navigate it as best we can. If that's the response, I'm like, okay, cool, all right, whatever, great. But if you do this thing where you're like, haha, losers, joke's on you, then I'm not behind you.
Aside from all of the ethical concerns, I'm just thinking this pitch sounds like too much work. To almost any person wanting to consume media, they don't want to be the person working to create it and putting in their time, unless they're one of these Silicon Valley nerds who finds it really interesting.
Every time you make something in the microwave, you're in a race against time to find something on Netflix before your food gets cold.
I don't want to put in the work to create my own TV show. I just want I want Hollywood to make a good TV show for me to watch.
Yeah, it's like there's video games I want to play. I could learn how to design a game and do it myself. I'm not going to, but at the same time, I think there's the other problem, which is the same exact problem we were talking about earlier in this show, which is Hollywood just keeps regurgitating the same thing over and over again. Is AI can't create, it can only recombine.
Yes.
So when you tell the AI, hey, give me this, at the end of the day, it's always going to just give you a repetition. It will never give you anything truly new. And I think, my hope is that consumers will be able to delineate between the two, but unfortunately I doubt that.
I think as the generations change, that's going to go away, because the stuff that Gen Z is increasingly interested in is a lot more like that. It is. It's
what?
Like Skibbity Toilet.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, it doesn't ring true of carefully crafted entertainment. It looks like slop that was put on screen to keep your mind from losing focus.
So a generation raised on Skibbity Toilet
Yes.
and Coco Melon is primed for AI takeover.
Absolutely. Yes, I do.
Basically.
Yeah,
I mean, it just isn't an appealing product. Maybe, as time goes on and the technology gets better, that won't be the case. But I'm looking at this now, and it seems that all of these episodes that you can create on the platform are like 5 to 6 minute runtime, and they're all like that level of quality where you're just staring at one frame of his jaw is just flapping. It's not animation.
I mean, we all know what this is going to eventually be used for.
What?
Come on.
I don't know. What are you hinting
There's
at?
one thing people are going to use this for. Come on.
Tell me.
Porn, Mary.
Well, that's not something that they're going to allow on their platform.
Oh, Mary.
They've put in.
No. They will allow it.
Protections
Their
against
company
that.
is going to say, no, we stand firmly against this. No AI pornography. And then the shell company they have that's over in China is going to have the crappy app that goes over onto the App Store that's like, find your perfect waifu,
Well, they already have AI girlfriends,
they do.
AI boyfriends.
They do, but now you're going to, that's like, that's one
Sure.
thing. This is going to be, they're going to be like, computer, give me, I can't say these things on YouTube.
The other thing is that the CEO of Sony said that they're going to be heavily focusing on the use of AI to cut costs and production for film so that they can produce films more efficiently, which makes sense because Hollywood can't seem to make a movie for less than $300 million these days.
Which is incredible because it's not that expensive to film a movie.
Nope, it is not. So it's going to be worked into the industry slowly but surely, and not even all that slowly. It's already picking up steam. I do think that it'll be a generational thing, that something like this, maybe not this company specifically, but down the line, Gen Z with their weird tastes and attention spans will find more interest in stuff like this than the average millennial.
But they still
Gen
just
Xer.
want to watch like YouTubers and streamers, basically, and TikToks.
You know what this is? As I'm looking at it, this is all those Silicon Valley nerds that the thing was talking about, who are deeply uncreative but too narcissistic to consider that maybe they're not meant to write stories.
Like, there's a reason you're in Silicon Valley, not Hollywood.
Yeah, like you're very good at something. You don't need to be good at the other things. Let other people do those jobs. You don't need a robot to do everything you want for you.
There will be no movie studios eventually, guys, because it's all going to be owned by Apple and Amazon. Apple and Amazon are the fastest growing studios there are right now, and Amazon does so because it makes all of its money doing everything but making movies and television.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Pretty
And
much.
to be fair, like they have a lot of stuff that sucks. Rings of Power sucks, but Reacher was good. The Terminalist was good. Almost Paradise was a Freevee original, which is their their free ad supported tier streaming service. That show was produced by Amazon. So they're going to continue to do that. And
they're all consolidating right now.
Exactly. And you will start seeing stuff where, for instance, they bought all the Amazon bought MGM, and the first thing they did with James Bond was make a James Bond reality show. That's the symptom of a company that is thinking about profit, expansion, and monetizing a brand and not telling good stories.
Yeah, I guess for Disney, that alternative revenue source is just selling merch, selling, I guess their theme parks.
Yeah.
But that can't possibly measure up to what Amazon has going for it.
Amazon will be able to supplement this forever.
It literally doesn't matter if Rings of Power or any of their other original productions make any money for their streaming service. It's just like it's an afterthought, basically.
It's a slop to get you to subscribe.
I mean, if all the human generated content is slop already and almost, indistinguishable from AI slop, then I think people will probably opt for the AI slop eventually.
Is Amazon the one that's working with Mr. Beast, or is that somebody else? One of them is working with Mr. Beast.
I thought Mr. Beast wanted an A24 film.
He didn't know. He also has like his own Roku channel.
He does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like,
but he's also putting up all his videos on X.
He's like a thing unto himself. He's a whole different beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And I don't. Yeah, I know, but like you get my point.
yes. But yeah, they say we believe the future is a mix of game and movie, simulations powering thousands of Truman shows populated by interactive AI characters. So some mix of GTA and a movie in one.
Choose your own adventure books are now just going to become reality for, visual representation on screen. And that's a lot of people would say that that's a scary future, because to the people that actually make movies and television, it's an art and it's a craft and it's something that takes a lot of work to actually do well. So there's probably going to be a strong sentiment, and those people that end up working with these studios will probably be seen as dissidents in a way, much like somebody who works non-union when they're on strike. It's a very insular industry that doesn't take well to change outside of what they term is acceptable. So this will be interesting to see.
The CEO said the vision is to be the Netflix of AI. Maybe you finish all of the episodes of a show you're watching and you click the button to make another episode. You can say what it should be about, or you can let the AI make it itself. But if you give the prompts, don't plot twists matter anymore? Don't you want to be taken by surprise by what you're watching at any point?
Like the AI is never going to be strong enough to do the kind of stuff you want it to.
Or even something like where you go into a movie and you think it's going to be one thing and then it ends up being another. That's what happened. Like when I watched The Killer from David Fincher, that movie, I didn't know what I was to expect. I thought it was going to be more of an action film, and it ended up being more of a character study on an assassin at a much slower pace that was far better than what I could have expected it to be, given what my belief of what it was going to be was. So you lose the ability to be surprised by something when you play a part in the production of it.
Sounds lame right now, but I guess I could be taken by surprise later.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see something of a distillation where you have kind of those B-level movies. B and below turns into AI generated, or at least AI written. And then like they start spending the actual money on the big productions. And I wonder if you end up in a situation where there's like movies on average are not very good, but the good movies are unbelievable. Like that would be my hope if we do end up in this world. But because, the only people who are then going to be able to shine in that atmosphere, you're not going to have mediocre writers.
Yeah.
You're only going to have Spielbergs.
Yeah, you would hope. I don't know if
that's what I would hope would happen.
I don't know if we're going to have any of those in future generations if they're being raised on this content.
That's why books are going to become more important than ever.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe they'll do something like adapting a book into a movie. That would be revolutionary.
Amazing. Amazing
Just some
idea.
super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Friday, Brett, Mary, and Aidan. Sadly, White Boy Summer is canceled. Fear not, for this year we celebrate Orange Boy Summer. Let's go.
That is what it is. It is Orange Boy Summer.
I hope so. I heard Pride Month is canceled and White Boy Summer is going to be the replacement. But
Did I tell you guys about the time that I got a cease and desist from Chet Hanks?
no.
Yeah, it wasn't like a cease and desist, so to speak, but I had a T-shirt store online when I was 22, and one of the shirts said "White Boy Summer 2021." It was just a tank top. It was just a silly thing that I mainly made for me and my friends. But I get a notification that his people had reached out to Spring to tell them to take down the listing because he had trademarked the term White Boy Summer.
Right.
And then I made a second shirt and started selling that. And what that shirt said was Chet Hanks can eat my entire ass.
Did he sue you for that one?
No.
Okay.
That was just a nice invitation.
How do you own the phrase White Boy Summer?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
I don't know. Maybe it was White Boy Summer 2021, so it was specific enough, but
I don't know if I stand Chet anymore after hearing that.
no,
I still stand Chet. Sorry.
Nate said, I love you all and this show. I haven't been able to watch live where I've been working lately. That being said, Brett, your take that Glenn Powell is more masculine or a better movie star than Chris Pratt is your worst take ever. I'm outraged.
Did I say that? Did I say that? I said he's.
I don't know what
I
you
said
said.
he's trying to project a different type of action star, whereas Chris Pratt gives vibes of the safest type of action star you can be.
He's doofy.
He's a little bit doofy.
Yeah.
He's comedic.
Glenn Powell is more self-assured.
Yes, I did not make any such claims. I never have takes that hot.
He also said, but I will endure. PCC is the best show on YouTube.
All it was, like, look, you watch the trailer for Twisters, and the dude looks like he's a rising star in the industry. And it factor is a very hard thing to explain or describe. It is the definition of you know it when you see it. And I think that his growing success seems to bear that out, that he seems to possess that.
Sure.
Now, Chris Pratt is a very, very successful actor right now. Like, it would be weird to even compare them because they're at vastly different stages in their careers.
Yeah. I mean, I still think Glenn Powell is more masculine than Chris Pratt as an actor because Chris Pratt is he's more so known for being a comedic actor,
and that's
not
the thing.
an action star, right?
If you want to see
Would that
him,
be fair to say? If
you want to see him in a role where that's not the case du jour for him, you would have to watch The Terminalist, which is a very dark and brooding show. It all the way down to its muted color palette and the fact that it seems like it was filmed at permanent dusk.
I couldn't watch it. It was so depressing.
And that show is Chris Pratt, and he's great in that. But that's not his bankability as an actor. You're not paying $100 to take your spouse or somebody to a movie and get a bunch of popcorn to see Chris Pratt play a super serious guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got $1 without a message from, I believe, Brother Cody. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Do one more.
Goofer Trooper said, Aidan, what's your opinion on the In Praise of Shadows Wendigoon drama? Seems like slandering Wendy is a way to speed run career sewer slide.
Yeah. So, I mean,
if you don't want to address it, that's
no,
fine.
I'm fine addressing it. It's I'll say this. It seems like Wendigoon's perspective on it is, it's over. It's done, that's it. So I don't want to speak, for him, obviously. I am friends with the guy, like I work with him. I don't want to speak for him. What I will speak to is the fact that I've seen this on a number of occasions where you have a YouTuber who, you see it a lot with really tiny creators. You don't see it as much with people who have a platform already, but you'll see somebody and they'll go, you know what? I think I can get some clout by going after this person.
But In Praise of Shadows is a pretty big channel.
Yeah, that's why this is unusual.
Yeah.
So the fact that he went after Wendigoon was very strange. I also think that the stuff that he tried to go after Wendigoon for was absurd. But I don't. From what I can tell, it seems like they have tried to put that, bury that, like not bury it, but bury the hatchet, I guess.
Yeah.
Put it behind them. So I don't want to, dig it up. I just think it's something that you do see though, is like people think, oh, if I attack this person, then I'll get I'll get followers. And it doesn't matter that I'm only getting them because I was dishonest or something, because any attention is good attention.
Matt Jingel in the chat says adapting Jim Butcher would help save Hollywood. They tried to do Dresden Files television show with Paul Blackthorne. It got exactly 11 episodes.
We have a couple 20s.
All of which I liked, but they were nothing like the books.
Dr. Larsena said, okay, here's an idea with everything. After Alex, a Game of Thrones style drama about the struggle over Alexander's empire. The real story lacks nothing. Grand battles, femme fatales, backstabbing, new dynasties, intriguing narrators.
How are they going to diversify it? It's very hard to tell certain stories now with the diversity requirements that are put into movies and television.
They had gay people, right? that would fit in there. Crispy Like Transport LLC said, my songs of the Friday will come from my soundtrack playlist. It consists of games, movies, military songs. First song, Final Fantasy VII by Tina Guo, I guess that's how you pronounce it.
All
okay.
Right. Let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the fact. Time to talk about Mia Khalifa.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Mia Khalifa is now pleading with other women not to enter the adult film industry because of the way she feels she was controlled and abused while she was in it, which actually, ironically, only was 3 months of her life. I think she said that she started doing porn when she was 21.
And that her husband encouraged her to do it.
Yes, and she was married at the time. And yeah, it was with the approval of her husband at the time. And it was only 3 months of her life that have now reportedly haunted her until the day she dies. This is her words, not mine, although I would have said it anyway. But she's spoken about this on multiple occasions, and I feel like she can't get her story straight because she refuses to denounce the industry as a whole. She is now promoting what she calls ethical pornography and ethical pornography consumption, which essentially means, I guess, subscribing to women on OnlyFans.
Yep. Straight direct to consumer.
Which makes sense because she has an OnlyFans and then, you know, benefits from people subscribing to her thinking that they're doing some kind of like charity work.
Yeah.
They're doing ethical porn consumption. But yeah, this says Khalifa has come out with advice for other women, begging them not to get into the porn industry. She initially rose to fame after embarking on what she described to be an abusive career in the world of adult entertainment. Despite only filming a handful of videos, the actress immediately rose to fame. She became one of the most searched adult stars in the world. And here was her statement. Please, please, please think about this if you are considering the sex industry. They make it impossible to rectify your regrets should you have them in the future. It goes the same way if you start an OnlyFans once you turn 18 and then those images are propagated all over the internet for the rest of your life. It has nothing to do with whether you work for one of the big porn studios or you make porn of yourself from your bedroom. It's the internet.
Yeah.
That's how the internet works. I don't know if anyone told her that, but it doesn't make sense to me how she sees there's such a big difference between the two.
On the one hand, I'm like, this is a little bit like, given that she's still in the industry, it's a little silly to me that she's saying these kinds of things. But I don't disagree that the industry is exploitative and that it's horrible, not just for the women who are involved in it, but also for the men who are having their minds warped by it. So it's like, if you're going to come out and say, you know, hey, I was in this industry and it was exploitative and awful and, you know, it did terrible things to me and my psychology and all that, it's going to help people take you seriously if you actually leave the industry. Like,
right.
I you know, good message in saying, you know, it's an industry that can be exploitative, but like, you're not the best messenger.
She says she's been left with permanent trauma from her time in the industry. Quote, that hourly dissociative attack from remembering hundreds of millions of people's only impression of you is solely based on the lowest, most toxic, most uncharacteristic 3 months of your life when you were 21. She said those 11 videos will haunt me until I die, and I don't want another girl to go through that because no one should. Long story short, don't do porn. And if you do, don't do it with a company. Do it for yourself on your own terms. And if you consume porn, make sure it's ethical and not from giant corporations who profit off of exploiting women. Like your groceries, shop local and direct from the creators.
It's so hard to take it seriously because, again, like she said the thing that we all know is the correct thing here, which is don't do porn. And then she qualified it because she's still doing it.
You got to go to the porn farmers market.
Yeah, she's still doing it. So, she can't say, don't do it. Because if she does, then she has to quit doing it. And
well, it's like when who were we talking about? The person's like, my so would never do, or like said, I would never do porn. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
How dare you call my friend a hooker? Not that there's anything wrong with being a hooker. When you clearly, if you're offended by that word, you think there is something wrong with it. And I think Mia Khalifa knows, on some level at least, that, doing porn and consuming porn is destructive to everyone involved. But she's just not willing to go all the way with her condemnation of it because, of course, this is just how she makes her money. Mm-hmm. And she's addicted to the attention, more importantly.
Yeah. And it's more a condemnation of just how the industry treats you. But a lot of her post at the beginning was saying, like, I was taken advantage of. I was talked into doing this. Mm-hmm. The average person sees that. They're like, you were an adult. You made your choices.
Yeah, and a lot of women who get into the porn industry, they weren't adults when they were talked into doing it. So she's actually the exception to that rule.
Yeah, the problem we're seeing with OnlyFans is that they're, high school girls who are being,
They see a TikTok about it.
Yeah, think about it. If you're a 16, 17-year-old girl and you don't have aspirations of, being a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, like you've never really thought about your future, then you're going to look at it and be like, all right, well, and think about who's being targeted by this kind of industry. It's typically not, the daughters of lawyers and doctors. It's typically not the daughters of middle-class families. It is in some occasions, and it's getting more common, but the people most vulnerable to this kind of thing are lower income people who, typically, if we look at the situations, have different culture around certain aspects of life. So you might look at it, they might see these things and be like, oh, well, I can have the money and the cars and everything that I aspire to, but don't have access to because of my standing.
That's why they put out the propaganda articles that are like, here's me with my first home. I'm a homeowner now thanks to OnlyFans. And there have been countless examples of
There's
that.
There's a $20 super chat there.
Daniel J. Corica said, if Angel Studios made a movie about Sodom and Gomorrah, would you guys go see it? Saved a mini kitten's life yesterday. It tried crossing on a 4-lane major highway. Now I have 5 cats.
Good save.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, to the first
question. Two very different.
What would you say, Brett? Would you watch a movie about Sodom and Gomorrah?
They were like, do you want to watch Cabrini? I'm like, no.
If I don't have to watch any actual sodomy, yes. But I doubt Angel
Gomorrah?
Studios would put that in the movie. Gomorrah.
Yeah.
I don't think I would want to see that either, whatever that is.
Does anybody get gonorrhea?
I would watch Sodium and Gomorrah.
Sodium and Gomorrah. Angel Studios has a movie coming out in December called Homestead that I am looking forward to. That's got Neil McDonough and Chase Bailey in it. Or Bailey Chase, I'm sorry. I am looking forward to that.
They got stuff in the hopper.
Yep.
But I think I would watch it. That seems interesting. I don't think Hollywood would touch a movie like that.
Just thinking about it from like the writing perspective, I'm not sure how you write a movie.
Well, you could write a movie
about Abraham that includes Sodom and Gomorrah, but I feel like on its own, it's kind of hard to make a movie about because it's such a short episode.
Yeah, you'd have to make up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But
like maybe if the movie,
interesting idea nonetheless.
Maybe if the movie fictionalized the cities and the lead up, and then towards the end, Lot shows up.
Or just call it Sodom and Gomorrah and then make it like a biopic about Mia Khalifa. That would be fine.
Sodom and gonorrhea.
Yikes.
There we go.
Yeah.
But like,
it feels like one of those examples that you always give when you say like they're almost there. They almost get it, but they don't quite get it yet.
She's like closer than she even thinks to understanding why porn is evil. But, they invite her to the Oxford Union and they give her all this clout and the brand deals and the modeling agencies are asking for her. And it's like, clearly this decision that she regrets has paid off, at least monetarily, even though it destroyed her marriage, her second marriage, I mean.
Yeah.
Like, her first marriage fell apart. Then she gets married again, and she talked publicly about this. She, you know, obviously had this talk with her then husband, like, are you sure you're okay with marrying someone who has videos like this out on the internet, and like naked pictures of me out on the internet that millions of people have seen? Thank you. On that note, dance break.
Pause for dance break.
And like she says, at least this is her side of the story, that her second husband was like, yes, I'm fine with it. It's in your past. I don't think any less of you, and I am secure in my masculinity. Therefore, we can continue on, and I'm okay with marrying you because I love you. And then she admits that, you know, that changed, and he became uncomfortable with it later on in their marriage, which ultimately led to them breaking up. And still, then she decides, oh, I'm in the position to give people marriage advice. My marriage advice is get divorced.
Yeah.
Like, that was her... I don't know. She just seems like a very lost person, but I don't really excuse her of the bad advice she's giving to people who are just as clueless.
Yeah.
You know, at least Riley Reid is herself.
I mean, yeah.
Like, for the record.
He's like, I don't know who that is.
For the record, I know who she is because I was 12 once, and I had a lot of friends who knew who she was, so to speak. I myself have always been pretty anti this stuff. I don't like it. I don't use it myself. So I just wanted to clarify that before it's taken out of context. But no, like, you know, at least that's what I don't like is the hypocrisy of it. It's like, don't say, hey, don't do this thing that made me rich and famous. You'll regret it. Like,
it's not going to resonate with people.
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
You're the messenger for that. But also, we talked about Riley Reid before because she did this interview where she talked about how she's basically been disowned by all of her family members, and she says she regrets starting to do porn as well, yet she is still doing it.
Well,
but she's never said I don't think she's ever said that people shouldn't do it.
Maybe she's blaming the
least if she
family
has, I didn't
members
see
for
that
their
part.
reaction to her
She
career choice.
she recently was like Dick Serto always has articles about her and talking about how she basically
That's
gave up
sus.
doing scenes with men because it affects her ability to get into relationships and stuff like that. There's a public fascination with how women who navigate this industry lead their personal lives.
Our video about
It is
like
just interesting.
why porn stars die young is I think that's the biggest video on our channel.
Yeah, it's if not
Like,
the
there
big-
is kind
well,
of a
it's 'cause
sick
there was like what there
fascination
was like
with all of
four there was like 4 deaths in the time in the span of like a month or something like that, and the rate is even higher than that. I mean, a lot of them die. Like, the only place that would have, like, if they did an in memoriam at the end of the year, the only industry that would have a bigger one would be pro wrestling.
Sheesh.
Yeah, and it's a public fascination because I always thought that would become less of a public fascination as it became more mainstream. That people have a natural inclination to want to learn about how people who operate on the edges of society live. But as they become more mainstream, I mean, most of them, they don't even do it you don't even have to enter the industry for a long period of time anymore. You enter the industry, you work for one of these major publishers for a year, you do as many videos as you can, and then you just immediately shift to being an influencer.
Yep.
And
And for her, it was
yourself.
literally 11 videos,
Yeah.
which is crazy to think about with how well known she is.
Also, just on the subject of like the ways that porn influences society as a whole, Playboy is responsible for the Illuminati conspiracy theory.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Nobody thought about I'm saying nobody might, you know, generally nobody thought about the Illuminati up until like the late 60s. And then a couple of editors at Playboy got the idea to write a series of fake letters to the editor about how the Freemasons were actually secretly the Illuminati, and the Illuminati were in control of Hollywood and the governments and all that. Like, the modern day Illuminati conspiracy originated in Playboy magazine.
Who were these people?
I don't remember their names.
What on earth?
I can
Why
send you
would
guys.
they- why
I'll
would they
send you
do
guys
that?
the article. I'll send you guys the article. It
What
was
was
written
their
by.
motivation for doing that?
They just thought it would be funny. Think about 4chan. Why does 4chan do anything
Okay.
as a collective unit? Because they think it'll be funny.
They were just a couple of trolls.
Literally just a couple of pranksters.
Before the age of the troll, they were the troll.
That's insane. I'd never heard about that before.
Yeah,
Wow.
and people bought it because, you know, Playboy is a reputable magazine.
It's you buy it for
the article.
Yeah, I read it for the article.
Obviously.
I read it. I look at Playboy for the Illuminati conspiracy.
Exactly.
Of course, that's true. We got 2 20s there.
Heavy Burnman said, "Happy birthday, Brendan, Melissa, and Arnold Matthew. I'm still awake after working a night shift, and I forgot y'all went live. Brain fog is thick today."
I know the feeling, man.
Gordon Shumway.
That's not the right names.
Gordon Shumway said, if modern women can suddenly become unhappy in a marriage and get a no-fault divorce so they can find themselves with a European trip, then a husband can suddenly become uncomfortable with his wife's past. That's equality.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Thoughts?
Also, really quick, Heavy Burn Man, I love the specific super chat number. That's a thing on our channel.
Oh, $22.37.
Yeah. A lot of people do 223 or 556.
The issue is, though, you can't say that you're comfortable with it and change your mind later on. Like, you should have just never married a porn star. Like, my life advice for this guy, you probably shouldn't marry the ex-porn star if it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's definitely.
He was clearly in denial about that.
I'm with you there.
That's what it was. You think it's like he's like, look, I can deal with it. I'll be fine. And then a certain amount of time passed. He's like, never mind. I was wrong. I can't do this.
That's the thing is, as a man, you sit there and you're like, I'm not jealous. I can handle this. I'll be fine.
Like,
but then for years, you got to deal with every guy friend you have being like, hey, I was watching your wife last night. Like, you gotta, and even if it's just in jest, it's gonna chip away over time until eventually you're like, I just can't take it anymore.
Yeah. And
also, the other possibility is that, like, it could have been like there were other problems in the marriage, and then that was just the icing on the cake. Was like, and you're past.
Yeah.
And the problem is like society has told the women in this industry, or like the women in general, that what he feels isn't okay. He should be okay. With
that's
it.
Insecurity. That's toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
If you won't marry or date a current or former porn star, that is because you are not secure in your masculinity. Mm-hmm. Totally.
All right, so let's go to super chats.
I personally would not be able to handle
Most
that.
wouldn't. Yeah, I imagine you are in the majority there.
Yeah.
Drewish AF said, dude, the Weird Bible podcasts have been my favorite thing ever. Aww. Love all you guys and wanted to say Christ is risen. Love Drewish as fug. Cheers.
Thank you, Drewish. I appreciate that. For those who don't know what that is, Wendigoon and myself and also my co-host Aidan, I'm also Aidan, we're all Aidan, it's that Squidward meme. We do a Bible show called the Weird Bible Podcast where we pick a different it's usually a different book or maybe a segment of a book, and every month we'll go on and talk about it, and it's typically we're not going to sit there and do like the Sermon on the Mount. We're going to do the prince who appeared to Daniel and told him, hey,
off the wall.
Sorry, bud, I was held up because the guy in charge of Persia, not your guy, our guy, he was being a dick. Like, that's the stuff we talk about on that show.
You have your Bible right next to you, right?
Yeah, I actually do.
Looks like a nice one.
This was an accident, but I do have my Ryrie KJV study Bible. It's beautiful. It's got gold siding.
The thumb marks.
Yeah. I love this Bible.
Nice stuff.
He gets some stuff wrong about the history, but that's okay.
Shane H. Wilder said, wait, the Cheez-It Crunchwrap is out? Why on a Friday? Why? I guess I know what I'm eating tomorrow and Sunday and Monday. Well, I was thinking about getting it anyway and just like swapping the beef with beans. They let you do that.
Do it. Wait for your first experience with it to be like the original thing.
It's special.
Yeah, it's special.
I can't disrespect the Cheez-It Crunchwrap like that.
Oh my God.
Goofer Trooper said also, hey, bread and marzipan.
Marzipan.
Why is that one my name now?
I like marzipan.
It started with you, and I was like, okay with it then. Corey Anderson said, hey, friends, what are your plans for the weekend? Any plans, guys?
Work.
Yeah. Cheez-It Crunchwrap.
So much work. And apparently also reading up on the story of Lot because people want that for Weird Bible. All right, next time can be Lot. That works.
That'd be nice.
Plans for the weekend. Skating, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I fit all of my plans into the long weekend, so.
Yeah, and for the most part, just that. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I have any other plans.
Tacty Platty said, Brett, we found $7 matinee theater nearby.
Ooh.
Cool.
Gordon
that's good.
Shumway said, did you guys get to meet MIA today when she went on the culture war with Tim and Shane Aidan, have you talked with Shane about going on his show? We did not meet MIA because we are not in the same
Different
location.
studio, different location.
they just kind of left the pop culture crew behind.
We woke up one day and they were just gone.
Yeah.
We just did the
Deuces.
fade out.
It was very weird. I've been down here. I think it's like my 9th time being down here.
You were saying?
I think it's like my 9th time being down here, right? And I get here and it's just like empty. Nobody's anywhere.
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't know what's going on. Nobody's informed me of this, right? So
We could have been.
I just arrive and I don't know what's happening. And then Brett comes downstairs in the same outfit I saw him in last time.
Yep.
So
Didn't seem like pertinent information.
it was just, I was walking through. I'm like, oh, okay. It's
No time has passed. I'm wearing the same thing.
Cora Nelson said, happy Friday to Booster Gold and Miss Martian. Hope you enjoy your eventual freedom for the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Friday.
I saw somebody recently was suggesting whether Glenn Powell, because I was arguing with Nate in the chat.
Why
about
are you
Glenn
doing
Powell.
this?
About Glenn Powell possibly playing Booster Gold, or or another actor that they were talking about doing. Anthony Starr from The Boys in Banshee, about possibly playing Booster Gold.
I think I just saw like The Boys showrunner say he
could beat up Superman.
No, he said he's going back on his plan to end the show after 5 seasons.
Got to keep going.
Which means it's about to implode.
I mean,
It's the cursed number of seasons.
5 is a good number to stop at.
Or maybe even before that.
Before, but I'm saying, but if you can keep your quality up through season 5,
Yeah.
assume that it's not going to be good in season 6 is a fair bet.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, I'm telling you right now, that dog is not real.
It's not.
It's not real.
Let's do one more.
Corey Anderson said, maybe dude could just be a part-time dog.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be a dog. He doesn't have to be a dog full time. Are there even benefits? Do you even get a benefits package being a dog?
but you have to go to a vet.
I assumed he wasn't like doing Zoom meetings for work in the collie suit, but
I like the idea that
guess.
just the helmet is, just the hat,
Yeah.
just the head is off. He's in the full costume, but he talks in his action. It's just face.
he can still type with his paws
Yes.
and everything.
All right, let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back after the fact. We got to talk about blood rituals.
It's time to talk about Kardashian family blood rituals because they're very fond of them. Kourtney Kardashian recently confessed on an episode of The Kardashians that she is keeping vials of her own blood as a gift for her husband, Travis Barker. This is just a thing they do. This is their version of normal. I think they put a clip of it in the clip of the show in the article. If you
We got copyrighted the last time we
Oh,
put
you don't want to
anything
mess with them.
Nope.
You don't want to mess with them.
Okay.
But
All
But yeah,
right.
Kourtney Kardashian keeps vials of her blood as a gift for Travis Barker. She was putting together a scrapbook for the birth of her first baby, and she had these vials out. And at their joint bachelor party, Travis Barker gave his blood to Kourtney, and she is giving her blood in return. It's just to have each other's. It's very Billy Bob Thornton and
Think they hang
Angelina
out with Megan
Jolie.
Fox and MGK?
All right, so
Yeah.
hear me out here. You had me thinking that this was going to be like spirit cooking, like Clinton email dump kind of blood rituals.
But hear me out.
This
it's
is
not
a little,
out of the question.
This is a little
It's
weird.
not out of the question.
This is a little quirky.
So what Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly do is like she says that like they actually cut each other.
That's different.
Which is also different, yes. And it's like for energy transference or some voodoo
does that even
See, that's the
thing.
thing. Is like if it's that's weird. That's a blood ritual. This
Yeah.
is just a little like kind of emo of them. But
I still think of it as a ritual.
if somebody told you in 2007 that they had just done this with their partner, would you guffaw? Would you balk at it? Would you be surprised?
Well, she'd be 7 years old.
Right, that's a good point.
2007, so.
In 2007, if somebody
What are you implying?
if in somebody okay, look, let the adults talk here.
Wow.
If Andy Biersack from
Bro, you're
Black
not
Veil
that- you're
Brides,
not that much older than
I know
her.
that's
That's
why I
not
like doing
insane.
it. No,
Biersack.
you're literally the same age as my
By
girlfriend.
that age, like I'm the only adult here then.
I know,
so.
but my point is, let's Andy Biersack. You know who he is, right?
Okay.
Black Veil Brides. He walks up to you. He's got the long, straightened black hair, the black leather jacket, the knuckles, like the spikes and everything.
Or
And he
any-
walks up and he says, So me and my girlfriend, we swapped blood vials. I wear hers on my belt, and she wears mine around her neck. It goes hard. Would you be surprised by this?
Manson was a thing in the late 90s. This wouldn't be that weird to me.
I don't know. It's weird because
what's weird is that she embodies nothing of the lifestyle that you would assume would come with people that do that. It's like watching a girl come out of a Hollister after doing a blood ritual with her boyfriend.
It's like a Kardashian is like corporate entertainment in a person.
But think about who Travis Barker is.
Is Blink-182 giving Manson vibes?
I don't know. Tattoos,
I don't know, man.
No, but he does work. He does work very heavily in the emo industry.
Ever since the Kardashians were attracted to white men again, it's just been getting more. It's getting too weird for me. And she actually has a history of this. She's also claiming she wants to pack a vial of Travis Barker's blood in her hospital bag for when she gives birth.
Why?
That also sounds like it's ritualistic to me, like some kind of.
What's the reasoning? Did she give a reasoning for that?
Well, let's see. This says Courtney wants to bring a little piece of Travis Barker to the hospital when she gives birth. Yeah, she just said it's just nice to have each other's blood. You want to show off blood vials, and it's like
someone's getting framed for a crime if one of them angers the other one.
What do you mean?
Plant his blood at the scene of the crime.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't really explain any of it, but she's had a habit of posting these pictures of their blood vials for years. She's done this. Like, I looked back in the history. She first posted a photo showing Travis Barker's blood vials on Instagram in June 2021. She did it again in September 2021. No explanation. And the same time that she commented on one of his posts that she wants to suck his blood. And then another time she posted these blood vials in October 2021. Okay. So maybe they were just really into this that year.
I just wonder
but it's something they still do.
How does the first conversation, like who initiates the first conversation that this happens in? They're sitting at the dinner table.
They probably just saw that Megan Fox and MGK were doing it, and they were like, we could be cool and young like them, even though they're all in their 40s.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You probably like had little micro trends within your friend groups and even within like your high schools, right?
Like what?
I don't know, just like stuff that went around.
Not like stuff like this.
Obviously not like this, but I'm sure there were like micro fashion trends, like wearing a certain style of like shirts that went around.
We wore uniforms in my school.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
You weren't allowed to have these individuality traits like that.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, it's just not really a thing. But nothing like this.
At least she's not advertising period blood. We've got that going for us here. No period blood art.
It's odd when you're making it kind of like a fertility ritual. You're bringing it to your birth.
I don't know. I'm just a really big Blink-182 fan, so I'm trying very hard to justify this in my head and find a way that it's not weird.
I mean, it's fine if he's a weird person. You can still listen to his music.
She's just not. That's the
that
thing
is the weird part.
She's just so. I mean, I guess is this like a testament to just how much one partner can influence another?
You know what's also an option is that Kris Jenner looked at Kourtney and went, "You haven't been in the news enough lately. Do something weird."
Yeah, she's the ultimate momager.
Think about this. This is a thing that's weird enough to make the news, but also innocuous enough that it doesn't make them look bad.
Yeah. I just don't think that this is a testament to like micro trends or PR. I think it's a testament to the mainstreaming of witchcraft. Little by little, because obviously you can't just start with like sacrificing goats. You have to do this incrementally to make people normalize it in their minds.
And it's just interesting enough. It's just interesting enough to influence like one episode of the Kardashians and then never get mentioned.
Like, ooh, how quirky.
Yes,
but I would think if it were about normalizing something like witchcraft, I'd think we'd be seeing a lot of movies about Wicca and things similar to it, where it's presented as not really. I mean, think about.
I mean, it's literally every horror movie.
The one I can, but it's never portrayed as being like a good thing. Witchcraft is always the bad thing. Like the only thing I can think of where Wicca is good, deliberately, that like comes to my mind is the Hex Girls movie from Scooby Doo. Like they're Wiccans and they're the good guys. Like
somebody says Charmed, The Craft, Buffy.
Okay, yeah. Well, The Craft, witchcraft isn't necessarily good in. Buffy, it's used to fight vampires.
Correct.
Charmed is I would give you Charmed. I would give you Charmed on that one.
Yeah. Love Buffy.
I mean, look at, it doesn't have to be in movies or TV. Look at Witch Talk.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a whole segment of like billions of people watching these videos about witchcraft on TikTok. Like, it's a fun hobby.
Oh, I would
And it's like
certainly-
an identity. Like, if being gay fell out of fashion, and then you can just become a witch.
What's funny about social media trends is like it's what television shows have done for decades, meaning that you make like a procedural and every show has to do one episode that deals with Wicca, where a crime takes place in like a local coven and stuff like that. So that all that is just migrated over to social media because you're not allowed to make stories about subcultures anymore because you're called a bigot if you make stories about subcultures. So it's just made its way to the entertainment you consume direct to consumer rather than somebody trying to. It's one of the reasons that I talk about all the time. Like, I love the early seasons of things like the X-Files because they took a lot of big swings. It didn't always land. In fact, a lot of the times it didn't land. Or even, you mentioned Criminal Minds earlier.
Yeah.
There's an episode where they deal with like a Romani family that ritualistically commits murder, and all the reviews are just absolute obliterations of how racist and awful the story is. And I'm like, okay. First of all, they say that it's a family that's perverted the culture, so they actually try to get you away from that notion to begin with. But when you're boxed in, and this writer didn't have to know anything about it beforehand, but they, in good faith, went and did as much research as they could within the time frame to make an episode of TV, 7 to 10 days by the time the thing is done. And they tried. And to the average person, they're looking at this as just like, look, I don't know anything about this culture, but this story was interesting. You're not really allowed to do that anymore.
I think you have a lot of problems with low media literacy where you have people who are not media literate who then go and make a big stink about something like that, where it's like, yeah, they were trying to present the middle ground, the nuance, and say, they did it with, it's one of the first 2 seasons because Gideon's in it. There's an episode where they're interrogating a terrorist, and it's, think about when this is. It's 2005, 2006.
And
it's in Gitmo.
They make some excuses for Islam in that episode.
Like in my opinion, they were a little bit like too willing to make excuses.
Hollywood always was. They love that.
Yeah. So, but what they do is they go in and they're like, you are.
But he's still the bad guy.
Yeah, he is still the bad guy, and they're saying, like, you're the bad guy, and your extremism in your religion is why you're the bad guy. But then they also try and target him, and they're like, but you're not actually adequately representing your religion. You're being too violent. You're not a good example of this. But they did a really good job of all that nuance. But now it's just like, somebody takes a 3-second clip, posts it on TikTok, and decides to make an entire diatribe about how it's problematic. And suddenly you're not allowed to make jokes anymore. You're not allowed to have nuanced stories anymore. It's like you don't teach people that something is bad by teaching them that it's black and white. You show them the 2 arguments, and then you show them why the evidence suggests it is a certain way.
Yeah, that episode was really, really good too.
That was a great episode. First 5 seasons of that show are must-watch TV.
Okay, you're saying positive depictions of witchcraft in movies and TV. I think I remember Shane Cashman has his own theory that Mary Poppins is a witch.
Ah, yes.
And it's actually like promoting witchcraft. I mean, I don't know how far he got into that theory, but yes, like he thinks Mary Poppins is a witch.
What is it? A lot of the police procedurals do episodes where something in a coven happens in that, because it's you can see the pitch for that.
Yeah.
Like the pitch is really easy. Like, oh, and then a witch is murdered, and her coven are all suspects. Like,
I think that climate propaganda is becoming sort of supernatural and religious in nature, like pagan ideas about conserving the energy of nature and how like humanity is actually subservient to nature, and that's been spreading through climate propaganda. And it also has its own, it has its own eschatology because of the climate crisis and like world boiling and things like that, like all of these catastrophes.
Yeah, and it's unfalsifiable.
That are unfalsifiable, and you have the expert texts and everything. So I think that's actually where witchcraft is spreading the most, but that's just a pet theory of mine.
I honestly, I think part of the reason we're seeing the rise in the the witch talk kind of thing too is that
witch talk.
Because I don't remember witchcraft really being a thing. Maybe it's that I was too young. Maybe it's that social media just wasn't there yet. But I do remember, witchcraft wasn't like a huge thing when we were kids. Like witches and wizards were Harry Potter. And then as I've gotten older, definitely the last half decade, a lot more of this witch talk kind of stuff, witchcraft being brought into the mainstream. I don't necessarily feel like it's been by Hollywood, but definitely on social media, people are getting more and more used to it. I think it's because, you know, think about when the shift away from religion started to happen. It was the 90s. And then within 15 to 20 years, suddenly you've got people embracing, people who would likely otherwise be atheists, embracing paganism, witchcraft, Wicca, whatever it is. I think it's largely because they probably they're probably feeling that hole for something inside them, and they're going, all right, well, what's something that I can believe in that doesn't require me to throw aside other things I believe in? And witchcraft is something that, paganism is something that's so nebulous, so broad, that you can, and so generally unknown, that you can reasonably say, I'm a pagan,
It can kind
and
of
not
be
have
whatever
beliefs
you
that
want.
match other pagans.
Yeah.
Now, that's not all pagans. There are pagans who take their religion seriously, and they use the material we have from that time period to try and be as close as possible. But in what I see, the vast majority of people, they're just doing it for the vibes.
It's like Satanists who actually are just atheists.
Yeah.
They do an episode of Criminal Minds where a guy is, they think he's a Satanist, and it ends up being like the local like football captain.
We got a 20 from Luscious Lucian. He said the Vampire Diaries, the originals, and True Blood all show witch stuff. I don't know what context they show
It's
it in,
usually, so with those, at least with Vampire Diaries, I think it's there's like the witches, the werewolves, and the vampires, and they're like the
So like being
competing
human
families.
Remember when I said Bitten, the really bad show Bitten, starring Laura Vandervoort? But I haven't watched Vampire Diaries, but I've been told that True Blood is one of those shows that I need to watch, but I just have never gotten around to it.
Well, someone should tell 45-year-old Courtney that vampires aren't trendy anymore.
There you go. It's time to move on. All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Corey Anderson said, panel, do y'all's parents or siblings watch your shows?
My dad knows the show exists.
I would expect him to.
I think I've sent, I don't know if I've ever even sent him a clip of it, but he knows what I do. Like at least once every few months, he like re-asks who my boss is because he's like talking to somebody about politics or something, and he's like, "Oh, my son vaguely works for like a
that
company."
guy Tomothy.
Yeah, basically.
Tomothy Loop.
Do your parents watch?
No, my brother watches. Yeah, a lot.
My parents and my grandmother do. I don't think my siblings do because they're my general age and have other things going on. But they do. My little sister does tell her friends what I do. Like I do get bragged about a little bit, which is kind of cute. But yeah, it's my parents and some of my aunts and uncles occasionally, and my cousins.
Cool. DCNC said, "Hi M, hi B, WB, Aidan, fattest Chungus."
Chungus is a positive term here.
Well, not if you say he's fattest.
Hey, listen, the first time I was on the show, I was a little bit of a chungus, and I'm as of this morning, I was down to 183 pounds, and when I was first on the show, I was 215.
Let's freaking
go. Mog them. Wait, we never showed the brochure video. Do you have brochure?
Well,
I'm not gonna explain anything.
Have you guys been seeing the shirts that are it says Hosier, but then it's just somebody else entirely?
No.
They're amazing. They're on like I'll search some up for you, but like one had like Mandy Patinkin from The Princess Bride.
Gather around, little ones.
That's not me.
Wait,
Tonight, I recount the legend of
That is
Silicon
not-
Valley.
Turned on the AI.
Yeah,
A distant land.
Stop the AI.
I feel threatened.
Yeah.
Stop the AI.
Like I genuinely feel uncomfortable.
This video is because my internet my internet algorithm.
This is your algorithm.
This is my algorithm. It's a mess. Here, you guys can watch this video.
So
I tend to send.
have
on
you
the
been
weekends,
seeing the
I
guy
send-
who's been doing it on
Yes.
TikTok?
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my god.
Yeah,
He's incredible.
he is.
His voice is really good too.
I tend to send Mary the most cursed things on the weekends that have no place on the show, but yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
I kind of love it. Okay.
Every
Sorry.
Monday I have to show up and I'm like, you have to check this.
I felt that was important to show the
Because
audience.
the Instagram links don't unfurl. I'm like, I have to make sure that Mary sees all the stuff I send her. I'm like, you have to watch this
Yes.
video.
Like a drill sergeant. Shane H. Wilder said, Brett, he wouldn't do it if it weren't in public. It's all about exhibition. Also, there's a special place in hell for the cringe of the day chick.
Oh, they're talking about the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it.
I still don't care. He's a weirdo. Whatever.
All right. Shadow Zero said Moist Critical did a video about her. She's awful.
About the lady in
Yeah.
the
streamer.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, "Don't film your crimes. I hate pseudo influencers.
What makes
If
somebody
you're gonna commit crimes, don't film them."
Well, okay, so I've heard that micro influencer is 10,000 followers. Like, what's a pseudo influencer?
I feel like the
I
threshold
don't
for
think
being a micro
pseudo-influencer's a
influencer is
term.
getting
Yeah.
higher.
It's like 100,000 followers.
Yeah,
or
probably by
something.
now.
Yeah,
You
It's
used to
definitely
think,
getting higher,
like,
yeah.
10K on Instagram in 2015 was like, whoa, this is somebody.
Yeah, it looks like it breaks down into nano, micro, mid-tier, macro,
Nano?
and
What is
mega.
a nano?
Nano is 1K to 10K, which just isn't like. I mean, I guess maybe if you grew up in a small town where your graduating class in high school was 26 people, then getting to 1K makes you a local influencer.
I
But like,
suppose.
I had like 750 coming out of high school, and I wasn't trying. Like, but yeah. So nano is 1 to 10, micro is 10 to 100K. Mid is 100K to 500K. Macro is 500 to a million, and mega is 1 million plus. Oh, I'm a mega influencer on TikTok. Nice.
Katakti Platy said, "I wonder how Aidan remembers my name."
I saw it come up in chat a bunch of times.
There you go.
Corey Anderson said, "If they ever tried to make the Stormlight Archive series into movies, Brandon Sanderson has to write the screenplays. If he doesn't, it'll be ruined."
Well, we'll have to wait and see what Hollywood does, but that's in Hollywood. It tends to be more about failing upwards. So.
Lord Crimson TV said, "I take solace in these dark times in knowing that I got to enjoy the Cheez-It Crunchwrap Supreme before Mary could. Had it 2 days
brutal.
ago and it was enjoyable, but definitely not my fave Taco Bell."
Rubbing
Wow.
salt in the wound, man.
I guess they probably released it on different days for different
staggered
like
the release.
states. Yeah.
He's
but
like, oh, the Cheez-It one, huh?
hurts.
That old thing?
that hurt me.
cruel.
Shane H. Wilder said the difference with Doctor Who is that it's a continuation of the series taking place after the '96 Doctor who made for TV movie. It kept the history.
I do have a
Yeah,
couple
that makes
examples of adaptations or continuations that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the TV show The Librarians, which was a continuation of a made-for-TV movies called The Librarian starring Noah Weil. But now they're making like a new version of that, like The Librarians, the next chapter or something. And I'm just like irrationally angry, even
Should
though
have called it the next page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it probably is something like that. The point is, I don't have any interest in the Dexter prequel either.
The next one is going to be a spin-off called The Dog Year.
Or how about this? All of the Jack Ryan movies, which span multiple decades and multiple actors. So you've got what is it? Sean Connery and what's his name? And not Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is later in Sum of All Fears, but guy who shot somebody on set. Alec Baldwin. So you have Alec Baldwin, Ben Affleck, Harrison Ford, and then eventually John Krasinski. And I enjoy all of those movies and season 1 of the show, but they're hardly connected in barely any ways. A couple of actors.
Did either of
crossover.
you watch the Twilight Zone reboot?
No.
Okay. I didn't hear about it after it was announced. I just must have gotten canceled. Corey Anderson said, "Aidan, I'm looking forward to the Killdozer video. Have you ever looked into the flights of stairs in the woods stories?"
Yes. And I found a lot of examples of local news reporting staircases in the woods that were not connected to anything else. I also saw a lot of explanations that that staircases are frequently the most structurally sound portion of a building. And therefore, when the rest of a building falls down, if anything is likely to survive, the stairs will still be there. So there was some of them were explained that way. Some of them, it did seem like nobody actually knew how the stairs got there. I've been meaning to look into it, but it's one of those things that I'm like, I want to have a chance to determine if this is actually weird or not first. Because sometimes somebody's like, look at this. And then it's not weird. One of those was Smiths Falls, Ontario. We recently did a video on that. Please go watch it. It's not doing well. But where basically the whole thing was somebody was like, all these people are going missing. They know each other. You know, they're all like in the same kind of general demographic. And I looked into it and it was like, yeah, a little weird, but no connective tissue.
Why did you decide to make the Killdozer video?
It's the 20th anniversary on the 4th.
I mean, yeah, but it's like,
Also, Killdozer go hard.
is that reason enough?
Yeah, I didn't need much of a reason to make a video about Killdozer.
Okay, I
It
mean,
is
it's
a
just
dude
not,
who
it's
went-
not like mysterious or anything.
this
It's like
man-
you know what happened.
Well, so here's if you haven't seen the video and you're on the fence about watching it because you're like, oh, I know Killdozer, I know that story. Marv Heemeyer made a bulldozer into a tank and then demolished some businesses. Yes, that happened. What you probably don't know, because it took me digging through multiple articles, transcribing Marv's actual tapes, reading through all of it, going and fact-checking, is that the movie Tread, the documentary that most people get the narrative from, is chock full of lies.
Go figure.
Like, verifiable lies. So in the video, that's what we mostly go through is, all right, well, what's the media say? Who was this guy? What was his real motivation? And how do we get there? And what can we learn from it? So it's an hour and 20 minutes long. About
Sounds like a way to make true crime appeal to men.
Yeah, but that's the thing is you look at what happened here, and I mean the way it's presented is this guy didn't get his way, and he refused to hook onto the sewer line, and then when he got fined, he decided he was going to destroy a whole bunch of businesses like a whiny little baby. That's kind of the general narrative you get. In Tread, they try to make him seem a little bit more sympathetic so that they seem more believable when they say none of it was real. That's the story everybody gets. As it turns out, like there were multiple times where they did in fact break the law. They did in fact target him. You can prove these things. There are things that they lied about and said this didn't happen, and then there's proof that it did. So at the end of the day, it's a story of small town America and the way that small town politics usually tend to go, which is there are these families that have been there a while. There's a little bit of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And in this case, what they found out was there are some men who won't break. And Marv Heemeyer was one of those guys. Marv Heemeyer was a man who said, well, if you're gonna take my things, I'm gonna take yours.
Okay.
Well, you guys should check that video out very soon. When this video is done.
Also, the way that he avoided his targets receiving any money from his estate after he died was brilliant. So that part I suggest watching too.
Okay. I see all said, let us pray, Hail Mary, full of Taco Bell. I don't want to hear the rest of that. Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, radical new take on The Exorcist. They did that with Exorcist 2, The Heretic, which sucked. Only the first and third count because they were by Blatty.
One of my favorite two-part series is Blair Witch, because the first Blair Witch movie is like, the classic found footage horror. Mm-hmm. And then the second Blair Witch movie is a daytime sci-fi, like, made-for-TV film.
Where were the books? Where were the shadows?
Yeah, it's called Book of Shadows. Okay. There is no Book of Shadows.
There is no book. There are no shadows.
Yeah.
Got it.
The plot makes absolutely no sense. Apparently, when it was written, it did, and then the studio wanted to make a whole bunch of changes.
I literally only saw it once. I remember nothing about it, but I remember when I got done, I said, there were no books. There was no shadows.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Nothing about the film makes any sense.
I cheated.
It's also weirdly
really
meta.
The original.
It in the beginning of the movie, it has a whole thing about the response to the movie. Mm-hmm. And so the sequel to Blair Witch takes place in our universe.
Yeah.
Where Blair Witch was also a movie, but then
yeah, it's the multiverse of the Blair Witch Project.
I think that's how it went. It's been a while. I might be misremembering, but if I'm remembering correctly, it was that they were convinced it was real, or it's like a tour guide who knows it's fake and goes out and leads people, and they find out that it's in fact not fake. But
okay,
it's so bad.
Tacti Platty said Brett, Mary, and Aidan should go to the Exorcist stairs in DC for the vibes.
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh, and Bunnyman Bridge. Oh, and Shane Cashman.
We do like Shane Cashman here.
Yes.
DCC said, Aidan, bad take on AI. You could be a reductionist about all human art too. Everything is influenced by everything. The only original event was creation.
Well, yes, but I would argue that the human mind has capacity to create further, even if it's going to be influenced by the past. Whereas an AI cannot create further. It can only be influenced by the past.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's my kind of thing. Is humans have a spark of creativity that's going to extend beyond just the plot points of the story. Mm-hmm. AI doesn't have that.
Nate said Glenn Powell looks soft AF. Chris is the best. Period.
Look, I have no
Period.
problem with Chris Pratt as an action star. He's perfectly fine. He was perfectly fine in Jurassic World. He's perfectly fine as a Marvel character. He's fine.
Objectively, though, like just physique-wise, is he not the soft one?
No, they're
Not anymore,
They're
no.
both in pretty good shape.
I'm thinking about his Parks and Rec days.
He's nothing like that.
You gotta think like
current year. He's in very good
he's,
shape.
He's ripped.
But the thing is like I think of Chris Pratt kind of in the same way that I think of Mark Wahlberg. When I think of actors, I kind of put them in the same archetype of performers.
There are very few actors who are able to make the jump from comedy to drama, or action's a little bit different, but the jump from comedy to drama successfully. Like Robin Williams is one of the few that I can think of.
Jim Carrey did a fair amount of. I just saw the Truman Show really for the first time.
Yeah,
not that long
I haven't
ago.
seen it yet.
I had watched it when I was younger, but was not really paying attention, and finally sat down and watched it and found it very enjoyable. Yeah, and he was able to do that with that. He's got Jim Carrey has other such roles, and even that's technically kind of labeled as a comedy because there are a lot of comedic elements to it. But it's very of its time, and that story would influence other types of genres with that same tone in the mid 2000s. So
yeah.
Random TJ sent us a couple of stickers. I don't know what they are, but thank you.
They say thank you.
Oh, okay. You're welcome. Shane H. Wilder said Sodium and Gomorrah would be just about Lot's wife.
Sodium and Gomorrah. Oh no! Wait,
that's-
yeah. Oh.
Isn't that where sodium comes from? Because like
Yes, it
someone
is.
commented on the channel saying this world is Sodium and Gomorrah, and it must have been autocorrect. I looked it up and I was like, oh, that's actually the etymology of the word.
Glad I didn't dunk on him because I would have been wrong.
Yeah. Degenerate salt.
Yeah.
Nate said Mary Powell is more masculine. How? Because he's hot. Pratt stands by his faith. I think he portrays a leader in both the Guardians, Avengers, and
Jurassic World.
I don't really care about either of these actors to any extent.
Dance Off, bro.
What?
That's from the Avengers.
Okay.
Dance Off, bro.
Also, wasn't Chris Pratt the guy who was like, I mean, I'm religious, but like not like that.
He definitely walked it back a little bit in recent years. I like Chris Pratt a lot. You're not, and also another reason to like Chris Pratt is because of how much Twitter hates Chris Pratt. So just there's something fascinating about a guy who can piss off people that much without saying anything, which I find impressive.
Yeah.
And James Gunn standing by him when they were like, "You better kick him off Guardians of the Galaxy," and he's like, "No."
Neither of them bother me. Like Glenn Powell isn't annoying, at least.
I just find Glenn Powell to be an interesting case of what could be, possibly, maybe, if he plays his cards right over the next 10 years, the next big thing.
Yeah.
He's on that path if he's able to stick through it.
Perturbed Alpaca said Mia K paid for fake tatas before doing Korn. She talked herself into the bang bus.
Oh, did she?
I have no idea what that means, but yes, she did.
I love how little Mary knows about this side of the internet.
You don't want to know about the bang bus.
You don't
Mary.
want to know about the bang bus, but it's exactly what it sounds like.
Care to explain?
Well, you know Cash Cab?
Yes.
Think that, but bang bus.
Porn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Wait, is that where all those interviews on Twitter are coming from?
Yeah.
Like, they just interview porn stars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
there's also a
lot of
taxi, like Cash Cab.
There's also
but
a taxi.
There's a lot of podcasts that cover porn.
Whatever happened to Cash
yeah,
Cab,
but she is
though?
talking about a specific podcast that's done. Like, I don't think it's a podcast, Mary.
They're
It's how they do their
literally-
videos. They start with an interview. I haven't watched them. I just know things.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're wait, whatever happened to Cash Cab, though?
I think it just ran its course.
Damn.
You know?
I missed that. Nate said, it seems like y'all are taking man points away from Chris because he's funny and non-threatening at times.
I'm pointing out that
Question mark.
that is an archetype within Hollywood now, which is the non-threatening jokester action hero.
Funny guy.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yep. There's nothing wrong with that. My point is that they're embodying different types of personalities within the industry now.
Yeah, I don't know why Nate is so passionate about this.
I love it.
DC&C said Aidan suggests a special on Deuteronomy 25:11-12.
Hang on a minute. It's a
Winky
thing for
face.
Weird
I forgot
Bible.
to mention that part.
It was
There's
Deuteronomy
a winky
what?
face. 25 verse 11-12. What do you get?
Right. This is the bit about I'll just read it to you.
Okay.
It's Deuteronomy is a book of laws. If two men fight together and the wife of one draws near to rescue her husband from the hand of the one attacking him and puts out her hand and seizes him by the genitals, then you shall cut off her hand. Your eye shall not pity her.
It's a rather niche situation to address.
Have you read the book of Deuteronomy?
Yes.
It's all niche situations.
And the next suggestion from Rhaegar Targaryen, did you do an episode on Ezekiel 23, verse 20 yet?
Oh, God,
I looked this one up.
20.
It says, there she lusted after...
Oh, yeah.
Should I finish that or no?
The point is about, I think the point they're trying to make is that the Bible is often rather, can be rather explicit.
Sure.
Basically, it's no holds barred. They're telling it like it is.
There was another suggestion. Brewmaster Monk said, Aidan, have you done an episode on Jeremiah 31, 35, verse 35 through 37? So if you want to take a look at that.
I had that one pulled up a second ago.
You can use your actual Bible that's sitting next to you, too.
This is faster.
Not the internet.
Bible Gateway's faster. It was 31, 33, right?
31 verses 35 through 37.
35. All right. He who appoints the sun to shine by day, who decrees the moon and stars to shine by night, who stirs up the sea so that its waves roar. The Lord Almighty is his name. Only if these decrees vanish from my sight, declares the Lord. Will Israel ever cease being a nation before me? I don't know. I mean, I'd have to have further context about what the curiosity is. Okay. I mean, if to read it biblically, the Pharisees stopped following the word, and then Jesus came, and those who followed Jesus were the new Israel. That's the way the Christians look at it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're making a point about the moon and stars shining, because we recently did a flat earth thing, so it could be that too.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd need more context in the question.
Corey Anderson said, Mary, are you the type of girl that likes to pick at your spouse's blackheads? My wife does it. I assume it's a chick thing. Fresh high fives all around. Okay, that's gross.
It's a chick thing, yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, how does a couple get into this? Do they sit on the couch watching House Hunters and go, hey, honey, you want to try blood rituals this weekend? I think they see it on social media. And
you know how it is, Mr. Fox. You're out on the weekend looking for kicks. Somebody's passing around the weaponized hallucinogens.
DCNC said, this reminds me of the saving of the placenta. It's an organ of the child. The DNA isn't the mother's. Consuming it is technically cannibalism.
Yum.
Is that true?
I don't know.
That doesn't seem anatomically correct. But I'm not even going to get into the reason I think that
there's
might be incorrect.
There's a $20 super chat there from Life. Was it Life is a Shonen?
The guest needs to admit he is an avid Riley Reid fan. He knew way too much.
He didn't even say that much.
I
have seen TikToks.
I've read articles.
And that's it.
Yeah, I don't
Listen, I was reading articles in a very reputable magazine.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew of her as well. Yeah. You can know that someone exists. It's allowed. Shane H. Wilder said, gotta fit the blood ritual between visiting the farmer's market and the pottery barn.
The pornery barn in the porn farmer's market that we were talking about earlier.
The porn farmer's market.
The porner's market.
Locally produced porn.
Placentas are a mix of the mother and baby's DNA.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Which that would make it cannibalism.
I mean,
because you are eating the cells of another human.
Didn't people do that for a long time?
Eat the placenta? Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a normal thing.
I think the thinking was because it comes out of your body, it's fair game.
Otis Crinkle says placenta Cheez-It Crunch Wrap Supreme.
Okay, can we not?
No. Placenta, not polenta.
Thank you. Why didn't you read that one?
Because it made me laugh.
Cool.
You going to Taco Bell to get some placenta tonight?
No, I am not. Okay, Rhaegar Targaryen said, sup my chunguses, or is it chungai? It's chungai.
A wild chungai appears in the woods.
Athix FPV said, are you hungry like, I don't know how to pronounce that, Keysburg was?
Oh, boy. Wait, what was that?
Are you hungry like Keysburg was? I don't know.
You don't want to be hungry like Keysburg.
I don't know what that means.
It means you want that long pig.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Come on, Brett, isn't the Librarians overdue?"
That was clever. Look, the show was great, but it was from 2014 to 2018, which means it fit right in the sweet spot there before Hollywood lost its mind, and it told a lot of fun stories. I haven't watched Leverage Redemption either. Again, these are all Dean Devlin shows that normally I love. I loved Leverage. I loved The Librarians. Pretty much everything that he's made. That he's the same guy who made Almost Paradise because he uses that same actor, Christian Kane, in all of it. But I just don't have any interest in seeing the updated version with new actors and new characters. Just like I didn't have an interest in watching the show Leverage on a reboot or on a revival because the actors aren't the actors they were back then anymore. Everybody's gotten older. Also, the whole plot of Leverage was essentially evil corporations stealing from the little guy, which Hollywood was able to do with fun and frivolity back in 2008. It doesn't have that tone anymore. There's a lot more animosity and disdain in the writing.
There's like tanky vibes.
Yeah, it's just no thank you.
Potatoes for Seamus said, "Brett, you're my new fave. Move over, Mary."
He's just a really big Glenn Powell fan, and he thinks I've been white knighting for Glenn Powell all show, and he's like, yes.
Potato heart, clover, spoon, potato, potato, potato. Rhaegar Targaryen said, "New Twilight Zone was totally woke, especially the Jordan Peele episodes." That makes sense for Jordan Peele.
I didn't find it that appealing.
Potatoes for Seamus said, "If Mary can quote Twilight in an Aussie accent, she may be able to reclaim her spot as fave back." Okay, I'll get working on that. Yeah. I'll be practicing all weekend. High Vulture 75 said J-Lo canceled her This Is Me tour. Think she's trying to patch things up with Ben, or is she realizing nobody gives a crap about her music?
I thought what it was is that she rebranded it as a greatest hits tour.
Yeah, and it was not selling out. Not even close.
Yeah, well, she was, there's been a bunch of stuff in the news lately about her not being as successful as they thought this new tour was going to be.
Well, she was never like the greatest singer or the greatest actress. She was just her.
Yeah.
You know, Corey Anderson said EdTV, sorry, is better than Truman Show.
I know what it is. I've never seen it, but I should watch it.
I feel like I've heard of that. Is it something similar?
It's in the. It was probably about 5 or 6 years later, if I remember correctly. But I know what you're talking about.
Coach Sipping's Jamba Juice out of a straw said, "Mary, why you acting like you don't know the bang bus? Stop the cap." I'm hearing it in the meme voice. Stop the cap.
Oh no, same like just a year later or a couple years after the Truman Show, 1999. A video store clerk agrees to have his life filmed by a camera crew for the television. Yeah, I'll have to end up watching it. Again, I was very happy with the Truman Show.
Heavy Burn Man said pan-fried placenta.
That's awful. That's terrible.
Brewmaster Monk said, "Read the next part. God says he will cast them down if we can measure the heavens or explore the pillars of the earth. This is why FE is being pushed."
I don't know what the FE is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's the Jeremiah thing. They're saying that the reason that flat Earth is being pushed.
Oh, FE means flat Earth.
Yeah, the reason that flat Earth is being pushed is partially due to this verse. There's a number of different verses that they go with, but I mean, the way that it actually reads is, "This is what the Lord says, he who gives the sun for light by day and the fixed order of the moon and stars for light by night, who stirs up the sea so that its waves roar, the Lord of armies is his name. If this fixed order departs from me, declares the Lord, then the descendants of Israel will also cease to be a nation before me forever. This is what the Lord says. If the heavens above can be measured and the foundations of the earth searched out below, then I will also reject all the descendants of Israel for everything that they have done, declares the Lord." The Bible is full of symbolism and metaphor. This is another one of those examples. The ancient Israelites likely perceived the earth as flat. The Bible does not say the earth is flat.
Okay, we got a $20 from the Manic Mustache said, late as usual and antithetical to horrible adaptations. Why didn't y'all mention the greatest film of all time, 9 to 5 with America's godmother, Dolly Parton, and then became the greatest NES game ever made? We used to be a country.
We did used to be a country.
We used to be a proper country.
That was a good movie. I think I watched that years ago. Shane H. Wilder said, I love when I make a stupid joke that leads Brett to go on a 3-minute tangent over random early 2000s TV show.
I don't remember which one of his specifically I ranted about, but you're welcome.
It's all running together at this point.
Yes, it is.
Nate said, Brett, you're the man, white knighting, LOL.
Look, I was. It's a joke, okay? I think Chris Pratt is the greatest actor known to man, okay? He's fantastic.
Literally a god.
He's basically that, right? It's perfect. All right.
I think we're all caught up now.
All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. And Aidan, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Let everybody know where they can. Actually, you know what? We should. I'm going to put it up here on the.
Sure.
I'm going to put up the. I'm going to put
We'll
the
get you
link.
access to
Oh,
the-
it's actually premiering right now. So
it's
I can't actually
finishing
start-
up
yeah,
right now,
finishing
actually.
up
It's
right now.
just about to end. So this actually works out perfectly.
Hey, that's you.
Look at that lighting. That lighting is amazing.
Good lighting.
That is me. Thank you.
I'm going to put the link here in the chat.
Thank you. Yeah. So for those who may not have heard earlier, today we released a video on Killdozer, the Marv Heemeyer story. And if you look at the thumbnail, it says in very big red letters that were remarkably difficult to get to show up against the background. They lied. And the reason for that is that when the movie Tread came out, and for the first time there was an actual documentary on Killdozer, like a fully produced documentary, it tried very hard to make it seem like they were giving Marv a fair shake and saying that, he was a good guy who just, he was lonely and he got in his head and he was paranoid and he did this thing, but it was nobody's fault. It was just a lot of misunderstandings. And then you dig into it and you realize that Marv Heemeyer was the victim of a local conspiracy, in my opinion. But yeah, I build up the case for that. So it's not anything like no grand conspiracy here, nothing Illuminati related, but it is the story of a small town's leading family just abusing the hell out of this man.
Okay. All right. So you guys should go check that up. It is up on the Lore Lodge YouTube channel right now. And thank you again. Let everybody know where they can find you, man.
You can find me over on the Lore Lodge here on YouTube. That is the most consistent place. You can also catch our live podcasts on Sunday nights. I will be doing not this upcoming Sunday, but I think 2 Sundays afterwards, right? I'll be here.
Math.
Try and do math. The 16th of June, I'll be on
Yes.
Inverted World Live here.
Yes.
Well, not here, but here.
You'll be on PCC the 17th and 18th.
Yeah.
As well.
Yes. So I'll be here for that. And we're also on Spotify and all podcast platforms for that. And we're going to bring our normal stuff to Spotify as well. But yeah, that's the most consistent place. Then we've got Twitter, where I tend to make fun of bad conspiracies, and my Instagram.
Perfect.
Okay, we've got a couple more super chats. Potatoes for Seamus said, Brett, how about a Tremors reboot?
Aidan seems to love that idea.
I want to see a
There you
reboot
go.
of Tremors.
All right.
How do you feel about it, Brett?
Okay.
Sunrico Productions said, I love Brett's ex for his normie adjacent posts during major world events. My favorite part of being on X Twitter, LOL.
Yeah, yesterday everybody's like, our republic is gone. Democracy has been subverted. I'm like, I like this obscure TV show from Amazon Prime in the year 2020. It was good. Yeah, I like to do that. In fact, I should only tweet things that have nothing to do with major events on those days. I should just otherwise never use Twitter.
My Twitter feed on the Lore Lodge account is literally just like ridiculous current events, bad conspiracies, Brett saying he liked an obscure show from the mid-2000s.
We got another from Shane H. Wilder. Abnormie, Surenko. Abnormie.
That's perfect.
Definitely proves that you're not a normie.
Yeah.
Potatoes for Seamus said, how's Ann's Franks, Brett?
Can't even see him. I have no idea.
What?
Are they cheaper than the Costco hot dog combo?
They are.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
For the small price of your dignity.
Yeah. I have no idea where they are. They're hiding.
Cool. Okay, guys, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
I did do some look at the Alex Rider season 3 is coming out this year on Amazon
Really?
Prime. So so you can go and watch.
Yeah, I'll admit that last time I checked on it, there was no Alex Rider show.
Yeah, so it looks like
it's been a few years.
It looks like there's multiple seasons, and it looked like it had pretty good reviews.
Oh,
so
damn,
people seem to like it. So
yeah,
all
I
right.
knew there was a British attempt at it back in the day, but
It might be that one. I have no idea.
No, it was a while ago.
When I saw this, I thought it was the same guy they were getting to play young Sherlock, but I haven't double checked that yet. So no clue. Guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. The show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would prefer to listen rather than watch the show, and if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook, and not TikTok because we were banned on TikTok at
Lame.
Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode on Monday. We will see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
We are coming back because we are going to get this last super chat.
Huh?
This is from Life is a Shonen. Says, if the guest had to choose between erasing JoJo Siwa or Riley Reid, can he explain in explicit detail why it's Riley?
Wait, why do I have to just argue for your chosen side?
He's saying he's assuming you would choose Riley anyways.
That's a take right there. I did not like
Erasing?
JoJo's. Yeah, erasing. I mean, I guess erasing Riley Reid would be a good idea because it would remove more porn from the internet. Like that's.
But you don't know what JoJo is capable of.
I guess she is capable of doing porn.
Yeah.
I
It
hope
could
she
always
doesn't.
get worse.
It's getting damn close in her music videos. Good God! Like I've never seen anybody try to shake the child star image so hard or in such a poor manner.
Yeah. So unsuccessfully.
It's bad.
And with that being said, guys, we will be back with that other episode starting again on Monday.
Bye.
Bye everybody.